Live Radio.
Big win tonight for the Bears. Craig Williams off to the races. To the pylon, that's a touchdown.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
With that makeshift offensive line at 2nd and 8, the line holds up. Gallup has got it for the touchdown. Touchdown, Dallas.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
They hustle back for it and trying to get there and to get a trigger pull of a shot that went wide that time was Goodrow. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
One sport ends and another sport's playoffs begin. Major League Baseball, in fact, some games underway. Astros in the fourth, losing 1-0 to Minnesota. It's a best-of-3 start. American League has every game today, tomorrow, and whoever needs to play Thursday. The National League will start tomorrow through Friday as they begin the best-of-3, the AL and National League wild card. Also, the White Sox lead Oakland, 3-0, bottom of the third inning. Good afternoon. As I said, the Stanley Cup playoffs are over. The Stars gave everybody kind of a nice little adrenaline rush, but Tampa Bay was too much. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and we'll get into a bunch of Baylor, West Virginia, some Cowboys news, and trying to decipher a Jerry Jones quote. David Hellman will join us today at 5. Phil Bennett. Is he probably among the top 5 most popular guests we've ever had?
Well, I mean, based on the downloads alone, yeah. I mean, people loved it, and it was a great, history lesson that we heard and that day, and he was just hilarious too.
Craig wasn't here yet, but when he was hired as the defensive coordinator back in 2011, remember you and I were on our way to the AFCA, convention up in Dallas, and that was that download or whatever you call it, that held up for years.
Yeah, no.
And years. He'll join us at 4. We'll hear from Mack Rhoades today at 4:20, and much more, including high school coaches from both China Spring, Brian Bell, and Robinson's Robert Rubel in District 9 4A Division 2, David Hellman, John McClain. I looked over this. We're going to hear a couple of things Paul pulled from Neil Brown today in his weekly press conference, but I pulled this from last year's game. Baylor beat West Virginia. There were 3 or 4 games that could have gone either way, and then the losses to Oklahoma could have gone either way as well. The only players in the offensive stat sheet that are not with Baylor anymore, and of course both of them very good, playing in the NFL, Denzel Mims and JaMychal Hasty. Everybody else, 15 of the 20 catches in the game against West Virginia, and 40 of the 54 attempts rushing are back. And so that kind of puts in perspective who they have on offense. Of course, we know they lost a lot of players on defense, and that remains to be seen. It'll be interesting what Phil Bennett says about Baylor and what he saw with them. I know he was very intrigued with Treston Ebner, as Craig has been on that bandwagon and built it, in fact, back 4 years ago. So is it sometimes we look at the negative rather than the fact that there's a bunch back on offense? And who was better Saturday for Baylor? The offense, I know special teams were special. Who was better, the offense, Craig, Paul, or the defense?
I think the defense was better. The special teams was good. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't, far from perfect either, but I'd say the defense, outside of that first drive, which was extended thanks to a penalty, that's the only time KU scored other than, didn't they score again?
Yeah, they scored a garbage touchdown.
That garbage touchdown. So the first of the game and the last of the game, and that's all you gave up. Then you had to stand at the very end when time ran out, when you could have given up some more points and looked like KU is going to go get an easy touchdown or, a gimme touchdown or field goal. I'll go with the defense. I don't think we saw enough from the offense necessarily, although they looked good with what they did to really put them at the top of the list. So I'd go defense over offense, but I thought all three phases looked pretty good.
Yeah, I think, I agree with Craig. We didn't have enough on the offensive side to really say anything, but that was a good thing. It wasn't like we didn't have enough on the offensive side because they, had a hard-fought defensive, 10-6 win. They just didn't need it. I mean, they just didn't need as much as you would normally think that they would need. So, yeah, I mean, they ran less plays, and we'll probably see them run in certain games. But I think, overall, and it's funny you mentioned, do we think about the negative? I think that's why people thought Baylor would take a step back, because the negatives are, even though you have a new coach who's good, we don't know anything about him. As a head coach, we only know him as a defensive coordinator. And part of that, it was just like, we don't know anything about him, so they'll probably do this. And, the offensive line was still not very good last year. Could they be better this year? Well, all those questions had to be answered. And, still really on the offensive line might take some time because they don't even have all their starters playing.
Yeah, we hear about Fedora and we hear about Ron Roberts, who obviously Dave Aranda's been around for quite some time. Wickline has the offensive line. And just imagine all of a sudden, if you have Newman back, which he will be back, and Bettier, and then also, of course, Mr. UCLA comes back and gets to play Burton sometime this week, which remains to be seen. Charlie Brewer, though, is he the straw that stirs the drink, or is it Terrell Bernard? Who of the two would you say, or is it Ebner? Who is the straw? 254-339-1122. That's the number. We'd love to get your feedback off the top. You can call us. You can text us. And then you could also be in the Willis Law Firm chat room on Premium at Sikkim365.com, or you can put it up on Twitter at Craig Smoke, at Paul Catalina, at David Smoke. Armstrong, Sims, and also CJ run the mothership today. If I say Anderson, it's $1. Not to you, but I've gotten into that habit. Armstrong, it's I say every time I say Anderson, it's $1 for whatever postseason, whatever we do. Who is the straw that stirs Baylor's drink?
I don't think there's just one guy. I think that if you go, is it Terrell or Charlie? It doesn't have to be either, because Charlie does it on the offensive side and Terrell does it on the defensive side. So I think you'd almost have to split them up. Last year I would have said probably Terrell Bernard more than anybody, because they won games with defense, right? But this year, I don't know how they're going to win games. I think they're going to win games at times with defense. I think they're going to win games at times with their offense. I think they're going to have to win them in multiple ways, just like any team that goes through the course of a season. So I think that answer can change, but overall, it's Charlie Brewer and it's Terrell Bernard. I mean, but I couldn't choose one guy over the other, because what they bring to the table is vastly different. Yeah. And when you're playing a game that's got three different phases to it that all have an impact, it'd be choosing one phase over the other. So I think they're equally important. But yeah, those are the two guys. And then if you want to throw in special teams, and yeah, let's go with Ebner there. And those three, as of last week, as of the last couple of seasons, even though Ebner was out most of last year, I think it's very evident he's one of their better players. So yeah, I'd go with the three of them as sort of the triple straws that's kind
of like one of those dating straws. Huh?
Yeah. I do think about Terrell Bernard, though, is I do think that he is now he's kind of like how James Lynch was last year for the defense, in that he's the closer of, all right, you guys got a first down. Now that was congratulations. Now I'm going to go end that for you, and his role in this defense is different than it was in Phil Snow's defense, and that now they're mixing him up, and the way he blitzes is absolutely it's perfect for him. I mean, he's just also darting straight up the middle.
He's also strong. He's physical. It's not just a guy with great speed and angular whatever. He's also very powerful. In the game last year against West Virginia, he had 10 tackles. 1.5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage. It also, of course, had the sack as he burst on the scene, though, in the game against Oklahoma State after Clay Johnston had been, in Stillwater after Clay Johnston went down. So Neil Brown is the head coach. Dave Aranda brought this up yesterday in my conversation with him. He was at Troy when they went into LSU in 2017 and beat them up pretty good. Neil Brown today in his media session, his thoughts about Baylor quarterback Charlie Brewer.
I was doing some quick research here while you were talking, and it looks like the vast majority of their experience is up front on the offensive line. Ran for 200 yards against Kansas. Is there a concern there that they're going to try to possess the ball and try to reduce the game a little bit with what they've got?
Well, I think they want to run the football. That's Coach Fedora has always ran the football, played with tempo, and they'll throw it too. But, with the talent they have at running back, people try to get their best players the ball, and those running backs are special. So we do anticipate them coming in and establishing the run. The O-line is better, for sure. I thought they played. That's the thing that stuck out to me watching the game, just watching Baylor over the summer and then watching them their first football game here, is their O-line's much improved.
Brewer, a running quarterback, too. That's a concern, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he makes plays with his feet. He does. He extends plays. They'll run him a little bit. Where he really hurts you is on call pass plays when he scrambles and breaks the pocket.
All right, so that's Neil Brown, the offensive line initially. And that's interesting. He says the offensive line is much improved, and they played without Newman, Bettier, and Burton.
Yeah. And they're going to get at least one of those guys back this week. I know they hope they get the other ones back, but at least they're going to get Newman back, and that'll only get better. And
did you think the offensive line, compared to what we've seen the last 2 or 3 years in the game with Kansas, was improved?
Yeah, I absolutely did. I mean, they ran the football and did so pretty much however they wanted to, and did so with multiple guys, and didn't have to rely on Charlie Brewer, risking life and limb to make plays just to get something going. I mean, we didn't see a lot from the receivers. We didn't need to see a lot from the receivers. We saw a big-time first down catch by R.J. Sneed. We saw a couple plays outside of that. Ebner involved in the passing game as well, but they didn't need to show everything. They didn't need to even show half. They needed to show what they showed on Saturday, and that was more than good enough. And as far as, the offensive line is what you're asking about, Charlie, seemed upright for the most part. The one little ding that he had was not like an issue with, him getting blown up over and over again like it typically is, and he ended up fine. So, no, I think they kept him relatively clean. They opened up big holes. They gave him some time, and, I definitely noticed an improvement. And I went in going, hey, there's 3 starters missing, and even if I hadn't known that, I would still come out of it saying, hey, I think the offensive line played pretty well.
Yeah. They didn't – my key was watching early. Are they going to hand the ball off and somebody's going to hit the running back immediately when they get to the line of scrimmage? That didn't happen all that often. I mean, even on their lesser runs, they were still – pretty much at the line of scrimmage. They weren't losing yards in the running game. It wasn't a surprise when they got yards, because that was, even last season, as well as they played, sometimes they would get yardage on running plays. And, oh, hey, I didn't really see that coming.
Yeah, they when they needed to run the ball, there were a few games, again, where they were able to do what they wanted to do. I was going to look at how many tackles for losses that Kansas had in that game right now. I'm trying to find out if I can get all that. But counting sacks or whatever, I'm sure there's like minus 31 yards or whatever. But, yeah, there was a lot of where as soon as they had the ball, bam. And last year there was a lot of get 7 yards, false start, or get 5 yards, lose 3. Would put them in 3rd and long like it seemed like forever. Now, we have Neil Brown on the other one, right? A lot of new – how many? 5?
5 new coaches in the Big 12. And this question – I left the question in because the guy asked a long question and it was kind of explained what he said, but it was a really good answer about how could these 5 coaches change the way the league is. And then he goes into what he thinks about Dave Aranda.
Hey, Neil, you talked about Dave Aranda, but with him in the league now, that's 5 first- or second-year head coaches. And I was just wondering, with that many new coaches in the league, do you think there's a possibility that as you 5 continue to grow and develop your programs that we could really see the league change in the coming years?
Well, I think the league has already changed a great deal. I think the defenses, and I think we've talked about this in these press conferences some in the past, but I think the defenses and the special teams play, this is still a really innovative league offensively. And it's a league, in certain games you're going to have to score a lot of points to win. But I think the defenses have really innovated as well. And then special teams play has gotten significantly better, in my opinion. And there's really good coaches here from top to bottom. You look at what Dave's done throughout his career, defensive numbers that he's put up in a really tough physical league in the SEC and the same in the Big Ten. And then Ron Roberts, he's a guy that probably not a lot of people maybe in our market know his name, but I can tell you in the coaching profession, extremely well thought of. Especially in the Southeast, head coach at Delta State in Southeast Louisiana. and did a phenomenal job in really high. It doesn't get talked about, but he actually hired Coach Aranda as the defense coordinator there at Delta State, and the AD we had at Troy came in, and he spoke very highly of both of those guys.
Yeah, and Ron Roberts, we'll hear Phil Bennett, the former Baylor defensive coordinator. Of course, he's coached a ton of places, but he'll join us today at 4 o'clock. One of the first names he mentioned to me in a text yesterday was, that kick returner at Ebner. But he also thought the defense played very hard. That was one of the staples of this team, was going and flying to the football. So that's Neil Brown, West Virginia head coach on Baylor's. Charlie Brewer, the offensive line, and also on the new coaches. 5 of the 10. Kansas State, Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, and is Neil Brown? Is this his second or third year?
No, Texas Tech. Matt Wells was there last year.
No. There's 5 coaches who have first or second years,
Okay.
And so Neil Brown would be a part of that equation as well. So, and I do think, do you guys 254-339-1122? Do you feel like the new coaches have changed up the Big 12 a little bit? Obviously, Matt Rhule and his staff did because of how they won games last year.
Yeah, I think part of it is if you look at some of the philosophies, it wasn't for a while. It was let's go hire the next spread guy or this that. Nobody is. It doesn't look to me like people are copying philosophies now at each school. Kansas State went and got a guy that fit Kansas State. Baylor went and got a guy that fit Baylor.
Yeah.
They're not trying to do the thing that happens it happens in the NFL, obviously, a lot. It happens in college football. Like, okay, well, this is what our conference is. We've got a guy who does this. No, go get a guy who fits your school. The SEC is about to learn this, and that Mississippi State said, look, we've been trying to do it your way for a long time. We can't do that anymore. We're going to go outside the box, and we're going to hire this crazy pirate. And so I want to know.
Yeah, I think Matt Rhule had a massive impact on the Big 12. He's obviously not a part of this new group of coaches, though. I feel like Dave Aranda, it's been too short of a time to feel like he's had any impact. I think, if anything, he's just sort of, and I mean this very respectfully, not that he's taking what Rhule did, but he's just picking up where Rhule left off and putting his own touch on it. But it's a similar touch in that it's defensive-minded, playing tough and playing physical and doing all those things. I think that definitely changed the Big 12 in a way. And it just so happened at a time when you had a Matt Campbell coming in at Iowa State who was going to improve their, defense. And they've obviously been a better program, even though he's year 5 now. So he's not a new coach by any means. So I think Rhule had a big part in the Big 12 changing a bit over the last couple of years. I mean, I don't see Matt Wells changing anything in the Big 12. He's not going to have an effect whatsoever on the style of play in the league. But I do think Neil Brown could. I don't know what that would be just yet. But, yeah, I mean, we've seen the conference change a little bit over the last couple of years.
Yeah, you see a game that might be more like Oklahoma State, West Virginia was like 20-6, and then you still see Texas Tech and Texas combined for over 100 points. And that's going to happen even in all conferences, and especially now where one conference used to sit there and act like that wouldn't happen. It's going to happen more often in the SEC. Ohio State and Michigan, their star players who opted out have been cleared. They should have been cleared to get back to play when they do in about a month.
The only thing they should have been cleared from is COVID. Like, that's the only thing, the Big Ten created this situation. The NCAA shouldn't have to, it probably should have been a pretty short discussion of these guys want to come back and play. Maybe they've talked to an agent, but we did that to them, not them.
But Rondale Moore, who's on campus, enrolled in classes, never hired an agent. I don't know if he's been cleared yet. Obviously, Minnesota receiver Rashad Bateman is another one that wants to come back, although he did sign with an agent just waiting for clearance. But it's interesting how Ohio State and Michigan were the ones that got that almost off the top. LaSalle University announced it's eliminating baseball, men's swimming and diving, men's tennis, men's water polo, softball, volleyball, and women's tennis.
We're only going to hear
They don't play football at LaSalle.
We're only going to hear stories about this for the next probably 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Who cares, man? Who cares? Let's board up our homes and stay inside and not try and not worry about the after effects, right? Let's not even try. Let's just all board up and stay inside for forever.
I got to tell you,
this was my thing. Not even trying. This is the kind of collateral damage. The side story to this is that there are schools taking advantage under the cover of COVID, kind of like businesses have as well with employees of, there's a pandemic, we got to make some cuts. And I don't really think that they do more often than not. I think, certainly some businesses have had to shutter entirely. But in college athletics, I think they're eliminating sports they wanted to in some cases anyways, and they've got a convenient excuse to do it now.
And you got to wonder if there's going to be a blowback with Title IX.
Well, Iowa's already got a lawsuit coming because they eliminated a couple of sports like swimming.
Because they weren't going to have football, basically.
Right,
yeah.
and then football came back like 2 weeks later, and they're like, nope, we're still getting rid of the sports.
He keeps coming into my mind, and he's not an athletic director anymore, but it's what he was trying to do when he was, is Steve Patterson at Texas.
Yeah.
Because Steve Patterson very publicly said, in this forum that was supposed to be kind of a rah-rah college athletics forum, he was like, look, I only see those sports as checks and balances on a sheet, and they're in the red. It's like, that's what they are to me.
Well, he was a
yeah, okay, and that's
the businessman.
And that's the businessman. And so he said that, and then come to find out, one of the reasons he got fired they got mad at him was a big Texas donor who was a former tennis player had donated money for a new tennis facility, and he did not break ground on it, and he was squirreling away that money. And to me, if he was there now, Steve Patterson would be on the forefront of getting rid of the non-revenues.
Exactly right,
because he didn't like them even when we were in salad days of everybody doing this.
And when UT was making more money than anybody. And
he can't be the only one. It's not like he was the only one.
No.
He was just the only one who said anything.
But if everyone would be honest about eliminating, how many ADs, if they were being honest, would go, yeah, let's get rid of 70% of
every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them would cut ties on at least a couple of programs, I feel like. I mean, there's if you boil it down and you're trying to save money or do something along those lines, then you take a look at your books and you're like, hey, female soccer or men's swimming's losing us $56,000 a year. Eliminated.
It's not just women's sports. In Title IX, that's what the main portion of it is. But there are some men's sports as well that don't bring in revenue. There's two sports, really, football and men's basketball.
That's what I said men's swimming for.
Yeah.
I mean, those are two revenue sports, and those are it. Not even baseball's a revenue sport. So, yeah, I mean, this is a side effect of COVID, but I think some people are taking advantage of it in business and in sports, and just real unfortunate.
Chris Platt will join us at 3:30, former Baylor wide receiver, and his story, 6 years he played, and he almost made the biggest play ever and just couldn't quite get loose in that game with Oklahoma. This story here, and then Paul's got a story about Earl Thomas. The Titans have to close their facilities until Saturday. 3 players, 5 team personnel members tested positive. 8 new positive cases have been confirmed after an additional meeting. They're playing Minnesota. They're going to continue to get ready for that game. Where do they practice?
Well, they played Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
So, no, I don't think I think they don't practice. They're playing the Steelers this weekend.
Okay, but I thought I saw where they still plan on playing that game. So my question is, if they can't go to the facility, are they going to go to some college facility? Are they just not going to do anything all week long and go play in the game?
I think.
Yeah, but I mean, with the Steelers, there's a chance they're not going to practice all week and then have to play.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, the Steelers are, I guess, weighing right now on whether or not they're going to continue practicing, because the thought is they practice. If for some reason this game gets canceled, then they don't have a bye week the rest of the year.
Game officials involved too, yeah.
So they've got to practice anticipating the game, but then again, the downside is you might have practiced for nothing and then you have no break the rest of the way. So that's what Pittsburgh is trying to figure out, and there's just been a lot of discussions, but I mean, anybody I guess that's out there that's seen that report on what they're planning on doing, then feel free to pass it along. But as I last saw, they were trying to figure out what to do.
Well, Pittsburgh said in a statement, we have been in contact with the NFL regarding positive COVID tests with Tennessee. We have been informed to proceed with our game preparations until informed otherwise. Judy Battista of the NFL Network reported the league intends to play the Steelers and Titans. Mike Garofalo reported that the Titans coaches have told players if they are forced to go without any on-field practice work apart from a potential Saturday walkthrough, then they will simply be what they have to do. For this week, there will be no excuses. That's interesting. That'll see if the National Football League Players Association gets involved with that. I'm not sure exactly what they could do. Now, Earl Thomas, yesterday the report was he's going to work out with Houston. The Texans most likely were going to bring him in, sign him. But that's not the case.
According to John McClain, who will be on the show at 5:30 today, as he is every Tuesday, the Texans won't be signing Earl Thomas. If you would like details from John, we'll get him at 5:30, because in the tweet, that's all he said.
David Hellman will join us at 5, and I got to get David Hellman's clarification. I saw this on I
have the clarification.
Okay, on Jerry Jones on 105.3 is the flagship in Dallas. I saw a couple of quotes about Dak at the end of the game, Patrick Mahomes, whoever else. What was the quote, Craig?
not at all what Clarence Hill's trying to infer. I mean, not surprising.
What was the quote?
I don't have the exact quote, but the gist of it was he was saying that there's athletic quarterbacks out there like a Patrick Mahomes or like a Lamar Jackson who can make plays with their feet, and the guy they played this past week had that ability, and Dak's got some of that ability, and Romo had some of that ability. That's all he was saying. That's all he was saying was just he did not say anything about Dak not being in those guys' leagues. He didn't say anything negative about Dak. If anything, he was just sort of including him in a very small way with those other guys who he's saying can make plays with their feet. That's what I read, and that's not at all what was put out there.
Here's the quote.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, read it.
And obviously with their quarterback, who's, I think, at the highest level right now because of his, frankly, as much as just his natural ability to make plays, his mobility. And this guy's very quick and elusive and can get in and get out of situations with his feet and buy time. The quarterback we played Sunday is that kind of nature. He's he has very great ability to get in and get out and then make the play. That play Dak made at the end of the game that got intercepted. Well, the result of Dak's ability to let him get out of that ball was really, really great and outstanding. While these guys do that, they have that ability a lot.
Okay, so it wasn't any kind of a pot shot at Dak. They're buying time with their instincts and their feet. That's what I think Dak's one of the best at it. Is he Mahomes good or Russell Wilson good? Two different type of guys. But I think Dak, I'm telling you, I'm not a Cowboys fan. Everybody knows that. I would love for Dak to be the coach or quarterback of my team. And that's maybe 25 other teams. Yes, there's some others that are good. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not trying to compare him to Rodgers or Mahomes or Russell Wilson. I would have him now over Drew Brees. Brees is brilliant. He has I'm just telling you right now.
Well, he's kind of the end for him.
Yes, and so you have a guy that could be there for another 5, 6, 8, 10 years health-wise. He seems to not take hits, and when he does, he's big enough, thick enough to where that he seems like he survives them. And he's gone through a couple of years where he's been tossed around like a dish rag.
Is the Dak question just because people need something to be controversial about? Because I don't know why it's an every single day, every single week.
It's because he's
still
good.
Not,
he's very good. Yeah, he's very, very good.
He's good. He's better than most. Like, what do Cowboys fans want other than like a top 5 guy?
Because they haven't signed him to a long-term deal, and so that's going to. But he's making $30+ million.
But the question, I know the question comes down to, is he good enough to sign for the money that he signs for? But I think it's pretty clear he's good. And, I don't know why fans worry themselves about money anyways. It's not their money that they're spending.
Yeah.
So
Astros continue to lose. They're losing 1-0 now, top of the 5th to Minnesota. White Sox 3-0, top of the 4th against Oakland. The 4 American League games being played today. When we come back, 6 years at Baylor. He was almost involved in one of the most dynamic, spectacular plays of all time for Baylor. Chris Platt, former track star as well. He's next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Man, I tell you what, 77 years in business. I've got notes about what they have, the steel and heavy iron, and of course, iron's always going to be heavy. All of the heavy stuff that you build things with, whether it's entryways or fences or metal buildings or much more, whatever construction you're putting together, Pioneer Steel and Pipe is there with all the product you need, and 77 years in the business, which means 2 things. 1, they've weathered the storm no matter the economy, and 2, they have great product and customer service. And that's actually 2 and 3, because that's what they preach it. Some businesses do. Some say it. It's lip service. But Pioneer Steel and Pipe for 77 years. And in this America, when you have these big, huge conglomerates that come into cities about the size of Waco or anything else, and they go after the local businesses. They do. They want to take everything. They're big box stores. And Pioneers, I've seen businesses, local businesses get swallowed up. They can't compete. The prices, they can't compete with the volume. And yet, if you have great product and people who know what they're doing, and they do at Pioneer Steel and Pipe, great product, great customer service, and they're growing every single day with new, in fact, growth coming right now. It's Pioneer Steel and Pipe when it comes to big buildings, big product, and big projects. And, oh, by the way, they're open Saturdays if you can't get there during the week from 8 until noon, open in Waco, and also, Brian, pioneerboys.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing.
And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
On first down, Brewer, play fake, got time, delivers, catch made, Platt, Chris Platt, sprint for the end zone, touchdown Baylor. They sure did take their shot, 50 yards.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
All right, here we go. This 3 o'clock hour, halfway through it already. Phil Bennett at 4, Mack Rhoades at 4:20. Much more on the NFL in the 5 o'clock hour. Chris Platt. Man, what a story, what a journey. What a role of resiliency, or just all of what he's done. And Chris Platt joins us now on Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and David Smoke. Chris, let's start off with this. First of all, thanks for being a part of the show. Hope you're doing well. What are you doing these days now that your collegiate eligibility is over?
Right now, I'm just working on staying busy and getting ready for the XFL.
Oh yeah, you've got that. Do you have any timetable on that? Like when you guys are going to start doing anything?
There's no timetable right now, but I know when I was talking to my agents and just cognizant of like the whole timeline. Right now, they don't have like a little opening to when that's going to happen exactly, but that's something that we're going to try out for.
Chris, so what's it been like post Baylor, man? Like to see them out there on Saturday. I know that had to be like a proud papa moment in some ways, knowing all those guys. But how strange was it to not actually be out there with them?
It wasn't too strange because I've done it before when I got injured. But I mean, it was kind of like wow, I'm not getting ready for a game type feeling. So it was kind of weird waking up not being in a hotel getting ready for a game.
You know, you have been through hell and back many times, and here you are trying to continue your career and extend your football career. How many times during your career, when you had a setback injury-wise, did you think that this would be the one that you could not come back from, and how did you get through it if you ever had that thought?
I would say after I messed up my thumb and wrist that year, I came back from my ACL surgery in 2018. It was in Duke, and it was like the last few drives. And I went up for the ball. There was no PI call. Landed on my wrist and thumb, and it was bothering me all season. But then I eventually ended up getting surgery. I had to get 2 surgeries during my track season to get them done. But it took a toll because the first one it was a good surgery, but the second one it was really bad, and it hindered my catching ability. So I mean, I had to learn all over again. It was quite frustrating, but I mean, with my support system, they got me through it.
Chris, when you come back from an ACL and you're a track guy, I know that that's even harder because of what you do. But what was it like when you got back and you felt like, oh, I've got my wheels back. The engine's running at full speed again?
I want to say I got my confidence when I was doing my movement test before they officially released me to do all things. Was when I was out in Dallas with my surgeon. We were doing the test, and we were doing this like a long jump test or whatever, and he points to this line. He's like, okay, my Olympic long jumper jumped this far, and points it down with his ruler. And I was like, okay, I got to get that. And then so when I did it, I was like dead even. So like when I saw that myself, I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready.
Chris, how did you manage to do it, man? Just you and those who came in with your class as well that finished out with you. As far as you come in, Baylor's high-flying, Bryles' offense is going crazy. You as a receiver had to be eating that up. You get the redshirt year in 2015, then sophomore year it's Jim Grobe, and then 2017 it's Matt Rhule, and last 3 years has been Matt Rhule. Just what was that like for you, man, and what kept you going throughout all of that?
I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but it was rough. I know that when we got the news that morning, I know exactly where I was. I was at my grandparents' house. It was like the weekend or something like that in the summer. And we get this text saying that like he wouldn't, at this certain time, there was going to be this headline on ESPN that Coach Bryles wasn't going to be the head coach anymore. First thing I did was hit up Davion Hall. We called each other like, whoa, what's going on? Like, what are we going to do? Are you staying? Are you leaving? It was a lot of uncertainty. But we stuck together as a group. We knew that there was going to be a bigger outcome out of it if we just stick through it, and that's what we did. And I mean, ever since Coach Rhule was there, I know that we had a lot of trust to gain back. Well, I wouldn't say gain back, but there was a lot of trust that we needed within that coach. We didn't know what was going to happen. We knew he was defensive mindset and we were offensive mindset. So, I mean, it all worked out. But, I mean, to go through all that, you got to have a good support system. And that's what I had. And I thank God that I did, because I really don't know where my mindset would have been through all those hard times without.
You mentioned Davion Hall. That was the first person you contacted. He's now on Coach Bryles' staff at Mount Vernon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's interesting to note there as well. So you mentioned when you get a chance to do some of the things you have to do to get cleared and after going through all of what you went through with the injuries. There's a difference between being cleared and then being back to where you can be who you were from the beginning. How long of a process is it? Is it longer from rehab to being cleared, or from being cleared to then feeling as if you really are who you were before the injury?
It is a long process. From going through rehab to getting cleared, that's a long process. I had surgery in October, and I didn't get to even jog. I had to jog in a pool of water in January. So that was my first time ever like jogging. And then from jogging to running, that was from January to March. So it was a long process. But to get from getting released to actually feeling back to like what I knew I was capable of doing, I would probably say it took that whole spring off season and the summer off season. So I got released around like March, April. I feel like I got back to myself by the time fall camp came back. So I mean, it was a good timing for me.
Chris Platt, former Baylor wide receiver, also a part of the Baylor men's track and field team, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Chris, we like to ask guys, some of the Baylor speed guys, some of those guys from the Browse era, who the 4x1 people would be. And, we've got names like Corey Coleman and Lanier Sampson and people like that, Lake Seastrung. You kind of came in right at the end of that, but you could probably hang on one of those 4x100 teams, don't you think?
Yeah, I think I can, but I know my body's not built for the 4x1. I'm a 400 type guy, but I can hang in there.
Who are some of the fastest guys that you played with the last couple of guys who are still on the team? Who would you say are the fastest guys you went up against?
The guys that are still on the team, I'd probably say Tyquan Thornton, Jackson, and Boogie Barnes.
Yeah, I was waiting for that one.
Yeah, he can kind of fly, can't he?
Jackson Gleason is not one that gets brought up very often. See, Chris, we haven't been able to see him much yet, but he's got some burn, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I know when I was there, he was going through a lot of hamstring injuries. So, he was doing a lot of rehab. I mean, I don't know. He was just getting bit by the hamstring bug, but he's definitely fast because I have seen him when he is healthy. And there's football fast and track fast, and he's both.
Chris, you keep mentioning your support system. Who did that include?
The most, I would say, my grandma on both sides of the family, my mom, my dad, my girlfriend, and my friends from high school, like my friends that I've known since elementary. Like, I'm still friends with them. They've been a good support system.
What are
they've been good.
I'm sorry. What are your grandmother's names? Because everyone sometimes has a nickname for their grandmother. Do you have nicknames, or just what do you call either one of them?
No, they don't have nicknames.
Okay,
I just call them by the name.
Okay. Did you have Paul?
I had Gigi and Grammy.
I had Nana.
Nana. Yeah. There's sometimes it's never like just whatever name it is, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, now. You want to continue to play the game, and so that's kind of on hold right now. How difficult is that? Craig brought that up. How difficult is it to wait because you don't know when, boom, it's time?
It's been very difficult because I know it was like 2 weeks, maybe a week before our pro day, before they canceled everything. So I was getting ready. I was going to Fort Worth, working with D-Rob and Bob Stroop out there at Apex.
Yep.
And then coming back to Waco and working out in the facility there at Baylor. And I felt like I was ready. I was going to put up good numbers, and then for that to be taken away, it sucked. But I got a couple calls right after draft day from two teams. I know one of them was the Rams. They had called me, said that they would like to bring me up for their training camp. But then they actually had put on hold on people to come in to work out, which I didn't even know that until they mentioned that they would allow teams to do that again because of COVID. But ever since then, I had never got a call, so I was sitting here just working out, waiting for a call, never got it. And then I was like, okay, if this never happens, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I was thinking one step ahead.
All right, I have to ask you the question. Do you relive the ending of the Oklahoma game in Arlington sometimes? Do you wake up in the middle of the night as if you could get those last 5 yards back?
No, not really, because I know for myself that I watched it multiple times, and a lot of people that don't give enough credit for that play is that safety.
Mm-hmm.
That safety that stopped my momentum before I start to get going again. But I really didn't even see the corner. They were in cover 3, so he was in my blind spot. But, I mean, there was so much I could do. If I saw him, I probably would have cut across field. But, I mean, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts about it. But I'm not going to live in the past for it.
Right.
Hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yeah, no,
every time.
Listen, 99% of us listening or talking or asking never are in that moment. I'll tell you right now, to me, that would have been the absolute perfect ending or comeback. And it almost was. And it really was, the fact that you were involved in that play, and it just took another track guy to have just enough left.
I know this. Chris could have beaten all 3 of us in a race with his torn ACL.
Yeah, I know.
He could have started from the pool.
On crutches in water.
Chris, I know we got to let you go in a second, but, I mean, just because of all the ups and downs that you went through in your career, I mean, you basically started off Big 12 championships and things like that and ended being in the Big 12 championship game with a lot of things in between. Just for you, was that like fulfilling to close out your career on that note, given, kind of the shaky nature before that?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. I'm just glad that our team got to where we were from 1-11. I mean, really starting off with Coach Grove, going 6-0 and losing 6, then winning the bowl, and then after that going 1-11. And then after that, tear my ACL with that. And then, we kept improving after that. I actually didn't even know if I wanted to come back another year. And I actually called Coach Grove that year I tore my ACL. I was like, should I stay? Should I go? And he's like, honestly, how are you going to live? Well, how are you going to feel about yourself if you leave and then not finish out the people that you went through all that time and stuff with? I was like, you know what, you're right. I do want to stick it out with the people that I've gone through all this stuff with and make sure that they come out right.
Those are teammates, friendships, camaraderie that you'll have for the rest of your life, and memories that you can always kind of go back to. That's a great part of, and Jim Grove sometimes underrated in things that he did in that transition year. Chris, man, you're one of the great stories at Baylor. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck whenever that clock starts ticking again with the XFL. And thank you for your time and what you represent.
Yes, thank you.
Chris Platt, former Baylor wide receiver, also Baylor men's track and field. Also, we'll have a couple of high school segments. Had one of the nicest notes that I can ever imagine on the forums earlier this week about our high school coverage. We will have China Spring and Robinson coming up next. China Spring and Robinson in 9-4A Division II will start against Gerald. Robinson will have the game Friday against Conley. And we, every single day except Thursdays, have 2 coaches back-to-back at 3:45, 2 or 3 others along the way in each show. That's the commitment, thanks to Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, McLennan County agents. Thanks as well to Southwest Sports Medicine, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company. We appreciate them as well. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas. 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions. Here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people, great technology, dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. And safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. They've got free checking. When they say free, they mean free. No minimum monthly balance, no monthly service charge, unlimited check writing, and unlimited debit card purchases. It is fantastic. I bank at the First National Bank of Central Texas. Smokey Bank's there. It's a fantastic place. They're great people. 5 locations right here at home.
What season is it? It's truck season at Allen Samuels. Ram trucks are raring to go, ready to work and play, and all feature the best deals of the year during Ram Power Days. Come get your brand new Ram Lone Star at Allen Samuels with 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $9,250 in bonus cash and incentives. Ram, the highest pickup owner loyalty in America. Shop, apply, buy online. We deliver. Ram Power Days at Allen Samuels.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com. Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hi, this is China Spring football coach Brian Bell. You're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio, your home for the best high school football coverage in the state of Texas.
This segment with China Spring Cougars football coach Brian Bell is sponsored by Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, First National Bank of Central Texas, Lance Donaldson eXp Realty, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
You end up running the table in non-district. Obviously, you had a chance with the 1 week off, but you really just took control of Mejia, and tremendous momentum your program has right now. Do you feel really good about where you are with district starting?
Yes, without question. I'm really proud of the guys for how they kind of come out and they've played early in this year, especially having the week off kind of unexpectedly, how they responded this past week with that. I was really proud of them. We got, obviously, we got plenty of stuff to clean up, special teams and offense and defensive mistakes that we got to clean up, some penalty type stuff. And then, but yeah, I'm really proud of how we started off the season.
You mentioned that there was, when you guys were as a team watching film, that Major Bowden was making some plays with his legs, and that you cracked kind of a joke, kind of subtly mentioned that it reminded you of you. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. Saturday morning we were watching film with the guys, and I gave Major a hard time because I told him they reminded me of a guy from 2010 China Spring number 11, and nobody thought that was very funny because they didn't believe me. But it's hopefully I can put on some highlight film and they can see how I could throw it better than he can. But I'm just kidding. But no, he's been making some great plays with his feet right now, and he's making some really good plays with his arm too, which is going to be beneficial for us.
How much does having, other than what appears to be the obvious, a dual threat type quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, just in the game of football, you want to be balanced as you can be, throwing and running the ball, and they both complement each other and they keep everybody honest. So having a dual threat is incredibly special for us.
When you look at the district now, the way you are, where you are, Salato's look very impressive. Conley's, I think, trying to still figure themselves out, but we know that they're very good. And then everyone else right now is trying to find themselves, whether it's Gatesville or Gerald or Robinson. Where are you when you see the landscape of what you have in front of you these next 5 weeks?
Yeah, with Central Texas football, you know how it is. You got to come ready to play each and every week, and at any moment, anybody can beat anybody, and that speaks wonders for our district itself. So we're looking at Gerald right now, and they got a young ball team that doesn't have very many seniors, and they've played a lot of young kids, and so the experience each and every week they gain is you can see them improving every single week. So they're 0-0, and we're 0-0 when district starts. So we're just trying to put our best foot forward this week.
When you have Emmanuel Abdallah, he's capable of, on every time he touches the football, of scoring. We've discussed what makes him a great player. He's also someone that is unique, that he can carry if you're in one of those games 20-plus times in a game. How unique is that to have him?
He's just a consistent young man, and that is incredibly special for our offense. That it's dynamic for us, really. That he can tote the rock as many times as we need him to, and so that just speaks wonders for his work ethic and how conditioned he is and where he's at in his kind of athleticism right now. And he literally can score on any time he touches the ball, and we saw that last year when he rushed for 545 in a game. And I'm just excited and I say this every time I talk about him. A special college is going to fall in love with him, and they're going to get a heck of a young man, and they're going to hit the lottery. They're going to win the lottery. So I can't wait to see where he gets to go play college football.
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
This segment with Robinson Rockets football coach Robert Rubel is sponsored by Stonewood Dental, Parsons Roofing, Lance Donaldson eXp Realty, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
The district play, I know Burnett, the second half, it got away from you as well, but as you start district play, no matter if you're 5-0, 4-1, 2-3, is there kind of a recharge and say, hey, wipe the slate clean, let's work about what happens now, because this matters if we play in the playoffs?
Well, I hope. We've been talking to our kids every week about just constantly trying to get better each week, and with each practice, with each game. And the wins and losses eventually work themselves out. And one of the reasons that we've been stressing that is so that when we got into district, we would just be improving as a team. And I think we are. We got a tough task ahead of us Friday night, but I expect our kids to go out and play hard.
Conley runs the ball. They haven't thrown the ball well. That's obvious. But you did give up a lot of yards on the ground to burn it. Is that something that gives you a little bit of a concern, obviously, with Gaither and Wisner? Or is that something that now you see what you saw and maybe you can make a couple of changes?
Well, definitely with Gaither. He's a good player. He really, honestly, he hurt us more last year than Sunday did. So, we got to make sure we're ready for him. What we don't know is if he's going to line up a quarterback or if he's going to line up a running back. And so we're kind of trying to prepare for both and, see what they give us. But we know we got to stop him and, just kind of go from there. We need to make sure we line up right. We need to make sure we fit right. We need to make sure we tackle well.
Robert, you've been a head coach before, but this is your first time now after you'd been at Robinson for a while. What have you learned about this program, about you as the head coach these first 5 weeks of the season?
Oh, my gosh. I think the biggest thing for us is this, just with everything that's happening with the COVID and situation. I was telling somebody the other day, we're probably one of the few schools that if you do remote learning with us, you're not allowed to do extracurricular activities. Well, we got 140 plus kids in remote learning, so our number went from from 700 to 550. And so, having to deal with that from a numbers standpoint, we're a little low on our numbers this year. It's made it tougher to do some things that we've been able to do in the past, so we've had to overcome that. I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy working with these coaches. They do a great job. They get our kids prepared, and so it's been a lot of fun working with these kids. But it's been a little bit more of a struggle because of the situation than I anticipated. And so we're just working through those things. And like I said, we're just trying to get better every week. And eventually all this is going to be over with, and we're just going to be able to go play football. And we're looking forward to that time. But right now we're working through some things, just trying to get better every day. And just.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Williams in motion, they'll roll, Daniels out. Down he goes behind the 20, Terrell Bernard with a sack, and number 2 flexes for the camera.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, this is going to be a great hour and a great start to the hour. At any time, we can get former Baylor defensive coordinator, longtime college football coach, and a friend of our show, and a friend of all of ours, with Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke. Phil Bennett joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. How do you feel these days, Coach?
Feeling better after 3 or 4 surgeries. I'm pretty much a new man.
Is your back? Is that what's bothering you? Because I know that had been a problem.
Yeah, I had a back issue, a shoulder issue, a neck issue, and a knee issue. So, you never when you're constantly going, you never have time to take care of them. And I've been able to do that, and I've actually became a pretty good golfer too. So it's had the pluses.
Well, you've got a couple of those beautiful courses, and you also. Is it okay if I share? Didn't you go through COVID?
Yes, I did. I sure did.
And
it didn't, my wife got a little bit sicker than I did. It was just, the low-grade fever, the blahs, but we got through it fine. Very fortunate.
You told me when I sent you a text, you saw Baylor in their win against Kansas. We know Kansas struggles with what's going on with that program. But your overall thoughts of what you saw for an opening game for a team that had no spring drills and no non-conference games?
Oh, I think that Dave and his staff had to be pleased. The things that I looked at, and I saw a bunch of games this weekend, I looked at, did they play fast? Were their assignments sound? Did they make good decisions? You look at VU, they were right at 50% with Brewer on 3rd down. Now, they didn't have a ton of total yards, but that they were. I thought Larry did a really good job offensively. They ran the ball 43 times. The thing I liked about them offensively was they got the ball to their best players. Lovett and Ebner. They're both big time backs. Ebner reminds me of a little bit different type back than our kid we had from where was he from? The running back that went to Oregon that was so fast for us.
Lake Seastrong. Yeah.
And I mean, he was, people don't realize this, but they say, well, Baylor only had 350 or 60 yards offense, but he had almost 200 yards of what I always call hidden offense in the kicking game and 14 points. And I thought they played fast. And, the other thing defensively, I look at the 2 guys I'm most familiar with, and that's Bernard and Petrie. Both of them played excellent. They played fast. Bernard is a big-time linebacker, and I think Jalen has done nothing but gotten better and better. And so I would think they would be pleased. I know they want to see improvement. I know this is a big game at West Virginia, but I would think it was a good start for them.
Phil, with Jalen Petrie in particular, this is the first time we've gotten to see him, starting and playing a lot. It seems like that star position they put him at is perfect for him. What about his skill set makes it that way?
Well, he's sort of a tweener between a cover guy and a safety, and at that star position, he can do underneath coverage. They'll pressure him some. He's smart. That kid's gone through a lot to be a football player. And I just have the highest respect for him because of what he went through. From the time we committed, he stayed with the other coaching staff, and now he's getting a chance with Dave and Ron and those guys. And he is a smart, mature kid that we saw it in camp. We really thought he had great change of direction and probably could even do some, play some deep coverage also.
So with what they're doing defensively, with Ron Roberts, with Joey McGuire's mix, and also with what Dave Aranda has done with that three-man front, what do you see as far as a coach, the X's and O's in the scheme?
Well, first of all, they're trying to get, this is a speed game in this conference. They're trying to get a lot of athleticism on the field. You go back to last year and all the guys that we had recruited, Henry Black, Chris, all those guys were tweeners, linebackers, secondary guys. Then, of course, you had Bravion and those guys, but they're getting athletes on the field. I thought they were very sound. I know Williams had a couple runs that I saw, the first touchdown. But the thing that I think gives you hope is that on two of those runs, he was hitting the backfield, and I thought that maybe due to the situation, I'm not sure how many people did tackling, during camp. Because who could, between COVID and injury and getting to the first game, who could afford to miss anybody? And I think the whole weekend you saw people, very poor tackling fundamentals that will get shored up this week.
Coach, you mentioned Terrell Bernard. What do you think his upside is?
He just has a super motor. You always say this. Y'all spoke to Dat Wynn a couple of weeks ago, and the thing I used to tell people about Dat Wynn, he never wastes a step. Bernard's like that. He straight lines to the ball. He does it. He takes great angles, and when he gets there, he's very physical. I mean, like that one sprint on one of those sacks, you can see his speed on the sprint out with that quarterback at Kansas. I think his name was Daniels. I mean, you could see his burst, and we saw that in high school. I went to college with his coach there at LaPorte, and I was shocked when we started recruiting him that everybody in the country wasn't. Of course, he was only 203 or 4 pounds, but he's a big-time linebacker.
You mentioned Petrie, and Paul brought up this position, and stories like that. Here's a young man that, as you mentioned, was loyal when all hell was breaking loose. What does that mean to a coach and a program when you have people like Jalen Petrie in the program?
Well, it's what you look for. Everybody talks about, well, he's a 4-star, he's a 5-star. But any coach, you ask any coach in America, what do you want? And I used to say, I want to know what I'm going to get every time out. Do you have that it factor? Are you going to be one of those guys that it's more about us than you? And Jalen, that's what he had. I mean, he went through, he wasn't getting highly recruited, and he stayed the course. He said, I'm staying. And I was just happy to see him out there.
Phil Bennett, former Baylor defensive coordinator, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul?
With the defense changing, did you expect to see them? I mean, it's not too much different, but it's different enough with a new coaching staff. Did you expect to see them take to it this well, or is that just about having a veteran team for the most part that can take in information?
Well, I thought Ron and his staff were pretty basic. I mean, they got out early, and they gave up the run early. And then they did a few things and it looked like to me the kids knew what they were doing. And when you know what you're doing, you can play fast. And like I said, with Jalen, with Bernard, one of the defensive ends that I'm not familiar with, I mean, they really did some things. I didn't know. I haven't contacted him, but was Tejada, was he hurt or get beat out? What was his situation?
Yeah, there was a family member that was not doing well at the end of the week, and I'm not so sure. I don't know that for sure, Phil, but I do. You're right. I did not see him do much.
Right. I didn't even see him in the game, but I was just wondering. I know I'd recruited. We'd looked at that Hanspard kid. Of course, Barnes played well.
Mm-hmm.
They have some guys that have played a little bit, and I think it was really a good game. Probably, I know they wanted to play U of H, but it was probably a better game to get started on before they go to Morgantown. And I happened to watch West Virginia also, and this should be a really good game.
The way a coach goes through a transition, when you have some you keep, and then you have some you don't. How do you feel like Coach Aranda has done so far? There's so much more evidence we have to watch, including this week in Morgantown, which can be a nightmare even if there are no fans there. How do you feel like he kind of mixed the chemistry of his coaching staff?
Well, number one, I think he's got a good staff. Larry Fedor has been I've known him since he was – I think I kicked him out of a Little League game here in College Station. I thought I was going to fight the whole family. When you're in college and you're umpiring Little League games and the beer joints are closing down early, you got to get them games over. And I told the coaches, I said, get the bat off the shoulder. Let's go. But no, Larry and I go way back, and I've got a ton of respect for him. Oh. And I thought even they were 50% on third down. They ran the ball. I thought everything that he wanted to get done, they were able to get it going. And then Ron has been around Dave. That Dave had worked for Ron, so I think there's a good chemistry. Joey, is a holdover, but Joey's a guy that is not Ron. He's not going to say, "Hey, we've got to do this," but he also adds good things to the package. And I just think they have a nice chemistry going.
Coach, with Charlie Brewer, I mean, from a defensive standpoint, from your defensive mindset, when you look at him, what do you see from him? What are the challenges that he presents, and just what are your overall thoughts on Charlie now entering his senior year?
Well, number one, I think he and the kid in Austin are two of a kind. Number one, they're winners. And you probably would like them to be a little bit taller, a little this, a little that. Mm-hmm. But when you play them, you say, wow, he's a winner. He makes people around him better. And that's pretty obvious. I know last year watching him in the games, and of course I've known his family and his brother. I mean, he is just absolutely a guy that makes everybody around him better. And the other thing, and I think in most good players, he can extend the play. When you can extend the play, and he has great ability to keep his eyes downfield. And I think he's a guy that Larry can really build something really good with. And Larry has done that with guys like him. And Larry will take advantage of what his ability is.
You've obviously spent some time in Morgantown, and you coached at Pittsburgh and then at Baylor. I mean, you leave Pittsburgh and come to Baylor, you think you don't have to smell a burning couch again, and they join the conference. But I don't want to bring up 70-63, the game of no defense at all.
Then why did you?
Yeah,
I just wanted to hear. I kind of want to hear his reaction.
Listen, let me tell you something. I take ownership of that. Lousy job, but I will say this: we never played them that bad again. We got my hardest loss, there was two losses at Baylor that crushed me. And obviously the 14 Cotton Bowl. And, you can say what the old game with West Virginia happened. But our last game in conference at West Virginia, I felt like we should have beaten them. And we played up there, the kids, those kids had nothing. Nobody said a good thing about them. Their fans were horrible to them, and we ended up got some bad calls, and we still could have won the game. I think the final was like 21-18. I think that's the year that Holgerson won 10 games. But I think they're a different team. They don't have the explosion on either side of the ball that they had back when he was there.
Phil, does the SEC understand now what the Big 12 and guys like you in the Big 12 had to deal with when it comes to air raid, Mike Leach, among others?
They all want to talk about Big 12 doesn't play defense. Let me tell you something. And nobody is a pass. I mean, look at Levy and them. Levy and them put Florida on their heels. And athletically, Florida is as good as anybody in the country. And, it's just, 600 yards on a defense that's supposed to be the number one defense in the country. I would say, in answer your question, yes. And this is nothing against Bo Pelini, but I told somebody this. Had Dave Aranda stayed at LSU, they would have beat him. And it's not because I think Pelini's a bad coach, but Dave Aranda worked and he saw everything there is to see on Mike Leach's offense. He would have known about the mesh routes, the crossing routes. I mean, watching that game, Leach, after the first quarter, had to say, he had to start licking his chops, saying, these guys are clueless. And it was a nightmare.
How much do you miss coaching?
I want to tell you, I miss the players. I miss the strategy. And I've had chances. I've had some good job offers. I just, and you never say never, but there's certain things that, my wife and I had her sister was we took control of her, and she was mentally handicapped, and she passed away a year ago. Then Julie's mother passed away. And I just thank God that I was here to be supportive of her. And I miss it, but also I found out I can do a lot of other things too.
Well, you're doing them well. We love having you on the show, Phil. Hope to get you again soon.
You guys are good guys. Like I said, I enjoyed my time at Baylor. I still have very high regards for him, and I think Dave is a guy that he's pretty easy to pull for, along with, like I said, with Larry and the rest of them, good guys.
Still, you always give us a quote. And this one, I once almost had to take on the entire Fedora family for kicking him out of a Little League game. When you're umpiring as a college coach and the beer joints are closing down, you need to get that game.
No, I was a college player.
Oh.
I was a college
player. Oh, my God.
Yeah, there is a difference.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Hey,
you can't say that as a coach.
Phil, the Dixie Chicken doesn't stay open.
I think that the Dixie Chicken, I had people with places to go, and I told the coaches, I said, tell you guys to get the bat off the swing. Larry's family, they're all great.
Oh,
his,
God.
His dad was a barber. His uncle, I had all of them want me. I had to jump the fence and get my butt out of there.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you, Phil. Thanks for your
all
time.
Right, thanks, Doc.
God, he's got a quote like a dictionary.
I don't
quote.
know how he's not like an ESPN analyst or something. You know what I mean? Like, he would be fantastic in that role, and he knows everybody in the game. But no, yeah, it's always great to hear Phil Bennett, and he obviously keeping tabs and still knows a few guys on the team that they recruited. And obviously a lot of the coaches as well. So that was cool to get his perspective on what he saw Saturday.
When we come back, Mack Rhoades, Baylor's director of athletics, knows a little bit about Phil Bennett.
Yeah.
And they have great respect for each other. At the beginning, it was a little bit tough, right, because of the transition. He's next, thanks to Phil Bennett. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. If you want to go online rather than visit the dealership, if you do visit the dealership, make sure you find Ted Teague and the great staff, Kevin Six, and make sure you say hi to AJ, who's fantastic at selling cars, and in fact got me, after nearly 400,000 miles in a Tahoe, to buy a new one. He did that good of a job. And also, Ram Power Days. It's always something when it comes to the Ram truck. And if you want something when it comes to specials on including Jeep, they have those as well, whether it's the Renegade or the Gladiator. And there are different options as far as bonus money and or discounts and or not paying for 72 months. You just need to ask whoever you are and see whoever you visit with at the dealership. And if you don't want to go to the dealership, you can still do all of that and more online at AlanSamuelsDCJ.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI. Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, David Smoke, and Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. When they kicked off on Saturday evening, did you have a tear drop down off your cheek?
Not right as we kicked off. But I will tell you, I walked onto the field with probably about 10 minutes before kickoff, and Commissioner Bowlesby was there. And he gave me a hug and thanked me. And I didn't expect it, but it was at that moment that I got a little bit emotional. So it was just great to finally play a football game, be in McLean Stadium, right, with even though limited fans, with our fans. So it was for many, many reasons, it was a special evening.
How special was the post-game situation handing Dave Aranda the game ball?
Yeah, I thought, there were a lot of special things about the game, but I thought the most special was post-game and giving the game ball, right, to Coach Aranda, congratulating him for his first win, and to see the reaction of our young men. How happy they were for him and how they just gathered around him and just were genuinely just excited for him. And I just remember saying, wow, we won. We've come a long way since, he first arrived onto campus, and then just thought about what an incredible job that he's done. And the staff in terms of just building relationships with them, genuine relationships with them, with a lot of obstacles in the way, right? And just the trust, and you could just see it, the trust and that they have in him, and the joy they had for him. I thought that was really cool to be there firsthand to see and experience that.
Mack, obviously a lot went into figuring out how to put on a socially distanced event at a stadium. What do you think you guys did really well, and what did you learn that you maybe have to add in for the next time around?
Well, really, that some things went well, and some things didn't go so well, and it wasn't because of lack of planning or forethought. I thought that the general bowl stadium, right, I thought was really good in terms of the social distancing and the way we sat people in their groups, in their clusters, right. I thought, and I wasn't certainly counting. I thought that some people, kept their masks on and certainly some did not. And, I think, we did a good job of reminding people to wear their masks, but maybe even need to do a better job. So I think that's somewhere that we can improve upon and just continue to remind. And it's going to be much different. And this is one of the things that we certainly talked about, is just this idea of getting in the habit of wearing a mask. And I know people will say it's outside. It will be a lot different when we go inside for basketball. And I think we're even going to have to be more diligent there about people wearing masks. But we want people to wear masks. We want them to have them on during the game, just out of respect for others and people around them. And then, obviously, the student section, it was great to see them, all 2,500 of them, and 2,000 of them, there below, behind the Kansas bench. But obviously we struggled with the social distancing aspect and the mask wearing. We're going to have to do a better job with that particular section. And, we're going to have to educate more. We certainly did a lot of communication. We did, testing, pregame testing of them, but, we had seats marked, red for stop, don't sit there, green for go to sit there. And, again, we're going to have to do a much better job there.
Mack, one of the things that we discussed before last Saturday was just what Dave Aranda would be like on the sidelines. Because he's so calm and collected when doing press conferences and things like that, but he was very animated and fired up. Just what was that kind of like from your viewpoint? Maybe you expected that, having perhaps seen him at practice or something, but just his emotions and the way he presented himself on the sidelines as head coach. What were your thoughts?
I don't know that was any different than what I expected. when coach has to be emotional or feels like he needs to be emotional, he will and can be and has been. And, I think he's going to pick his moments, right. And be very intentional about the way he gets his message across, whether it's to the staff, to the student athletes, or to the officials. But, again, he's very intentional, very measured, very thoughtful, very, very smart. So I think you saw, all of that, and what I probably appreciated most was the way we corrected mistakes at halftime and to have no penalties in the second half. And so just the way that he and the staff communicated, to our, our young men during halftime. So, it was everything that I expected. And I was, again, you just so happy for him and just everything that he's had to navigate and manage. And again, the whole staff to be able to get that first win was awesome for him.
I know you have so much more that's going on, and we've had him on, Dave, Coach Aranda, a few times. In fact, yesterday it was interesting, and he's made this comment to me more than once or twice, and this doesn't sound like coach speak at all with him, how he genuinely believes that he belongs at Baylor and how Baylor fits him as much as he fits Baylor. Have you heard? That's obviously something you might have read from the beginning, but he says it, and it seems so genuine.
Yeah, it is truly genuine, and it's quite frankly, it was something that we talked about with him during the hiring process, and you could feel the passion from him, and you could certainly you could feel his genuineness about it. I remember talking to his agents, right. And I remember clearly that they said, that coach had contacted him, long before the Baylor job opened, but there's two jobs, and I won't mention the other one, but there's two jobs. And one of them was Baylor. And if that ever opens up, that's a place I want to be. And that's a place that I think would be not just great for me, but for my family. And he really believes that. And I do, I think part of the art, because I'm not sure it's a science, but part of the art of a coaching search is trying to match fit. And I really do believe that he belongs here and is a great fit for Baylor, and Baylor's a great fit for him.
Is that the headache of a coaching search, though? Because you can talk to guys that you would probably love to have on a staff on paper, but then sometimes guys just want a job, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the art of it. And as I've talked to you all before, the whole coaching search piece is such a journey. And so much of it sometimes comes down to gut. And certainly, you have all your criteria and your characteristics and your values that you're looking for, right? But it comes down to a lot of conversation and just feel for a person, right? For their heart, for their mind. So yeah, Paul, it's a big part of it.
Mack, we've talked to you, over the last few weeks about what it's taken to get ready for the game you guys eventually were able to play on Saturday, hosting that first game. What's it like now preparing to go on the road for the first time in this era?
Yeah, it's it's going to be different, right? It's we're certainly not taking as many staff members. We're limiting the staff. Having to get tested the Friday morning, and then immediately keep everybody isolated, quarantine until we get on the bus and we head out to the airport, right? But not being able to do that until we hear from West Virginia. Keeping everybody again in a so to speak bubble when we arrive, and so it's going to be different. And there's certainly been a lot of work into even how how we, eat on the plane, right? Well, do we eat on the plane? Because if you eat on the plane, do you have to take your mask off? And so are we going to eat before, or, will we find a way to do that on the plane? So those are all of the little things that maybe you don't think about that we're having to deal with and discuss and have a plan for. And then, it's going to be different, the game. This will be my first in terms of playing a regulation, real college football game without any fans in the stands. I'm guessing, there'll be 600, 700, right? Families, parents, maybe close friends of West Virginia student athletes and of our student athletes, but that's it. So that's going to be, different experience and probably going to take a little bit of getting used to, when we first kick off.
Mack, do you have any heartburn this week with testing? Did some of the young men, some others, did they learn a valuable lesson about the bubble and being smart and doing it right and being careful? Do you feel like that doesn't mean it can't flare up because it's a crazy thing, but do you feel better about this week than you did at this time last week?
Yeah, I do feel a little bit better this week. As you know, we've just had the one test the Sunday following the game. We'll test again tomorrow, Wednesday, and get those results back. Thursday, afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, and then obviously the Friday test. So still those two hurdles to go, but feel pretty good about it. And I know that our young men are excited, and I think we'll get some more help on the offensive line, which will be good. And I'm excited, and I know our young men and our coaching staff's excited to go on the road and play a really well coached West Virginia team. I've got great respect for Coach Brown, and they'll be ready to play, and I think we will as well.
Every time we have you on, Mack, I gain a little bit more respect for you. Now I need an Advil, because just you talking about trying to figure out if you eat on a plane or eat before, and that, like, how many things can spring off of that little pie chart of questioning just gave me a little headache. That's unbelievable what you guys have to do every week trying to figure that out.
No, just, all of those little details, right? And, we talk about it. My staff sick of hearing it from me, but the little details are everything, right? Everything counts. Everything matters. Little details make big things happen, right? And it's just you can't let your guard down, and it's meticulous, and it's exhausting, but it's what it requires, and we'll continue to be as diligent as we possibly can, and thoughtful as we possibly can. And, it's, we're only, for us, we're only one game in. For others, 2 games in. We still have 8 in front of us, and we're just going to continue to pray that we're able to play all 8 and stay diligent.
Mark Lumley retired.
Yeah. A lot of emotions with that. He's been at Glenn's side for years and years, and has done a great job as an assistant coach, and is really. I know that we had some issues here lately, but really has a great heart, and just praying for him. I know that people that follow social media know that he's battling illness and struggling right now. And, I just ask that people pray for him and his family, and just certainly keep them in your prayers. And we'll miss him as a member of the Baylor athletic family.
What is the truth with the apartment complex?
it's a great question, and I'm not trying to evade the question. I guess the latest my understanding is that the damage and whatever that was agreed upon, right? Because I think that there was a claim that it was this damage, and then I think there was a rebuttal that it wasn't. It was not all of that damage, right? And so I think there was agreed upon what the damage was, and that was my understanding that it was paid for. But now there's I guess an issue at hand on back rent and maybe student athletes not not making aware they weren't living there, or some miscommunication there. And so again, that's my understanding of it. But again, because of NCAA rules, et cetera, that we can't, we really can't get involved. We can obviously and have strongly encouraged our young men to do the right thing. And so I think there's that piece that still needs to be resolved about back rent. So that's the most up-to-date information that I have.
And listen, my goodness, when I was in college, Lord knows what I did, but was there ever any kind of discussion about any of the players who are in this situation being suspended?
No, we haven't. And again, just being really transparent, we haven't, talked about suspending players. What we have talked about is an expectation for them to handle this, to resolve this and do the right thing. And we'll see how that plays out. And, anything, any type of consequences, we'll handle internally. And, I would hope that people know and understand, and I know our institution does, in terms of our track record for disciplining our young men. I think we, holding them accountable, and not just our young men, but our student athletes in general, our staff in general. And so we'll stand by that, and we'll continue to monitor it and keep our eye on it.
I thought one of the interesting things today, Chelsea Whitaker, former women's basketball player, part of the Dallas Police Department, visited with the women's basketball team. I thought that was neat as far as education. You sometimes hear about the stories when it comes to police and brutality, and even with the police. I saw a guy today, I mentioned to a police officer, I hope to God you understand that we appreciate you. I know there's a lot of anger and frustration, but how important was that moment, that event with the women's basketball team?
Yeah, I'm just grateful to Chelsea for doing that, right? As you mentioned, she's a detective for the Dallas Police Department, was our starting point guard for the first national championship team in 2005. And, I believe she spent, 6 to 8 hours with our women's basketball team and just talking through the history of our country and current laws and how attitudes have been shaped and just, racial climate and how those interactions work within the current criminal justice system. And so I just, I think that it was just time really well spent with our women's basketball program. And, I know that it was certainly educational, extremely helpful. And again, just grateful to Chelsea and grateful to Coach Mulkey and the staff, for bringing her in and for having her visit with our team. So I know it meant a lot.
If you win in Morgantown in the post game, instead of a game ball, do you present Dave Aranda a box of Fig Newtons that you took out of his office?
First of all, it was not a box. It was one. And you know what? I may have one in my pocket, and I'll give back that one. So.
All right. Thanks, Mac. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I think we went through the gamut from everything. All right. I know we got to kind of play catch-up. We appreciate Armstrong, Sims, and CJ for helping us out. Again, helping run the mothership, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke. I'm David Smoke. Back in a moment. It's 4:43, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters of Waco, 22 years outfitting trucks, SUVs, vans at 220 Lake Air Drive, and they want to go another 5, 10, 15, or 22 years, even longer. Waco's Pickup Outfitter because they sell the highest quality truck accessories at a fair price, professionally install them to factory specifications, all with their outstanding customer service. Everything purchased and installed at Pickup Outfitters comes with their famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. I'll never forget early on when Jay Errett purchased Pickup Outfitters, he told me that he wanted to make sure that the bays in which they do a lot of their work with their techs and specialists were as nice as anywhere else you'll ever find, and he's done that. And so when you get whatever you get to put on your SUV, your truck or minivan, whatever it might be, it's going to be handled in perfect conditions with great techs and also specialists. You can depend on them, professional advice if you want the right accessory. One you need, not one they want to sell you. They are there on 220 Lake Air Drive to help create a commotion when it comes to your vehicle. It's Pickup Outfitters, createacommotion.com.
That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Hey, it's It's time to stretch your legs. Jeep Adventure Days are here at Allen Samuels. Get special financing on the granddaddy of Jeeps, Jeep Gladiator. Now at 3.9 for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Grab hold of Jeep's rugged subcompact, Jeep Renegade with 0% for 72. No payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $5,750 in cash. Let's get going with amazing deals from your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right. By the way, Ronnie Lott will join us tomorrow. We had him scheduled yesterday, and it was kind of a mix-up with time zones, so he'll be a part of everything tomorrow. We're about to update baseball scores. Baylor women's golf team went into Norman, Oklahoma, and won a tournament by 31 strokes.
Is that good?
54-hole total, and they won by 31 strokes. Florida quarterback Kyle Trask, who's from Manville High School, won the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, National Player of the Week this week. Treston Ebner was one of those nominated. We kind of mentioned some of the criteria with two of the kick returns kind of counting but not counting.
Yeah, I remembered back yesterday when we were talking about De'Aaron King and Kyle Trask, and it was Mike Spradlin was at Temple at the time, and they were going to play Manville in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I said, Coach, I don't know as much about this Manville team, but I'm looking at their scores, and they're pretty much rolling over everybody, and they've got some good teams and some bad teams. Like, what am I supposed to know about them? And he goes, this before we were doing an interview. He goes, all things being equal, I wish we were in the other division right now. He's like, he said, I think he thought they could hang with them, and I think they did for the first half, but Manville was just too much. But he said, this is a very, very, very good team. And then he even mentioned, he's like, I think their backup is getting offers, and that was De'Aaron King and Kyle Trask.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There you go. Astros have now taken control of their game with Minnesota, I think in the 7th. Mm-hmm. It's 4-1 as they just scored a couple of runs with, who was it? Brantley with a 2-run hit. And so that's where they are right now, leading the Twins 4-1. Now, what else do we have? A couple of other nuggets. Craig, anything else from your end? Uriel, by the way, Gurriel, the kid from the Astros, not kid, he actually takes a $7 million cut. Takes a cut to $7 million to stay with the team. He was expected to get, I think, somewhere between like $8 to $11 million. He's a good part of that team. That's one of that run of great talent and hitters that they have on the Astros in the Astros lineup. Let's see. Anything else on your end, Craig? Nothing?
Today is Dave Aranda's birthday.
Oh, is it really? Mm-hmm. All right. Remember when Bennett and Briles, they still have the same birthday. Yeah. Like December 20-something.
Oh, yeah, Gavin Holmes is too.
Gavin Holmes' birthday as well. That's such a great story.
Do they all have a cake together that has both their names, or do you get them separate cakes? You ever had that?
Gavin's number 6, right? Is he a single-digit 6? I don't know if they put his number and then Coach Aranda's.
But you ever have that situation in an office where I was working at a bookstore one time. We had 2 people with a birthday on the same day, and we got a cake with both their names on it.
No, you did not.
And it was a thing. It was a total thing. Nobody said anything, but you could feel the tension in the room.
Yeah, that would be tough. By the way, that Astros game's actually going to the bottom of the 9th. 4-1 lead against Minnesota. Chicago leads 4-1 in the 9th against Oakland as well. So a couple of home teams about to go down.
Paul, are you big into the baseball playoffs?
Yeah, I enjoy it. Well, I would be bigger if the team was in it. But I'm kind of excited about this format and to see how it wreaks havoc on what could, like the Dodgers are the best team in Major League Baseball. Like they should, based on this 60-game season, walk through the playoffs. But if they just get a bad 2-3 day stretch here, a bad team or a team that shouldn't even be in the playoffs in most years could beat them and be in it.
Why would the teams with the best record not get a bye?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't set it up that way. Because a best of
3, everybody has at least a couple of good pitchers. But at the same time, Miami's representing the Eastern Conference in the NBA playoffs. They were like the 5th seed, weren't they? and they got hot at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, so
it happens.
I'm kind of hoping that we see some of that.
The Stars played in the Stanley Cup Finals and gave it a hell of a run until they ran out of gas, and they weren't the number 1 or 2 seed.
And look, there's some distance. There's some good teams. In the National League, the Dodgers, the Padres were really good this year, and the Cubs were pretty good. The Cubs were a little bit up and down towards the end, but really the teams in the National League that got in, just because they had to have 8 teams,
Right.
And most years you'd be like, well, it's just a bad year for the National League. The American League is much more interesting to me because, again, White Sox, Twins, A's, I mean, all these teams were pretty good this year. And, the Astros are under 500, but they're in. But I think there's, the Blue Jays are in again. Good for them. Let's see something interesting.
Yeah, I'm more interested in the MLB playoffs than I actually am the NBA Finals. I am not really all that interested in the NBA Finals this year. I understand with LeBron it's going to be a big deal, and the Lakers being a part of that is going to be an even bigger deal.
Playing his old team.
But you know what? I'm not a LeBron guy. I never have been. I'm not an anti-LeBron guy either, to make that very clear. But I'm not a big LeBron guy by any means, so I'm not that interested in it, honestly. And I know that's crazy. Like, how could you not watch one of the best players ever? I'll watch some of it, but it doesn't have me all excited. In fact, I'm just like, okay, LeBron's in it again. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I was a fan of his. I wish I was a fan of his. It would make it really easy to enjoy basketball more. But since I'm not, I just don't really have a care in the world for either one of these teams.
I'm sure, 20 years from now when they make the documentary about LeBron like they did, Jordan and the Bulls and The Last Dance, I'm sure there'll be some drama that they can build into it. But I just think that just the era is so much different. And as a kid watching those Bulls teams, and that's what I liked watching The Last Dance was I was kind of pulled back into the emotion I had following those teams because there was so much tension and things about them, even though you kind of knew they were going to win. But there's so much blah about the NBA comparatively to me.
Much.
And it's just,
I'll put it this way. Of all of the major sports, it's 4th out of 4 on if my team's not involved, how much I care about the postseason. Mm-hmm. It's 4th, even behind the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because I've watched more Stanley Cup playoffs than I've probably watched NBA playoffs at this point. But the Stars have a lot to do with that. If the Stars weren't involved, I don't know. I'd probably still take the NHL over the NBA, quite frankly, if the teams didn't matter. But, yeah, I was curious your thoughts on the MLB postseason and where we are.
I'm one of those, and I think I take it this year. The Rangers have been done since early August, if not even before the season began. And they have been bad for 3 or 4 years.
Early August?
I didn't realize
it's still a postseason. It's like I'm not a horse racing fan, but I'm going to watch the Triple Crown. If I'm not like if there was a Triple Crown opportunity in the last race, the Belmont, I'm going to watch it for sure. I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I'm going to watch the finals. I'm not the biggest soccer fan, but I'm going to watch the World Cup.
Yeah.
And that's not – baseball's still way above that as far as my interest. It's kind of like I'm just glad it's a different level of what they're doing now.
Here's what I like about these baseball playoffs is that ESPN was so anxious to get them on, they bumped soap operas on ABC to put them on. So they're
playing all throughout the day, right?
Yeah, playing all throughout the day.
8 games tomorrow?
Yeah. Can you imagine being like a lady that's hooked at and especially during the pandemic, who the only thing that gets you through your day is finding out what's going on
days of our lives
General Hospital, and then you turn it on, and you're like, who in the hell is Framber Valdez?
I don't know who that is either. But so right now the Astros are trying to lock down a game 1, and I feel like because of what they dealt with, and they escaped hell when everything was shut down because they were going to face it every single damn day at whoever they played, and they were able to kind of get through that. I think the burden is off their shoulders and the playoffs begin. I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah. I'm, by the way, from Ryan and Irving, I'm with Craig. Hockey and baseball, much more entertaining than the NBA playoffs. Hockey gives a lot of action for a longer period of time than any other sport. And thank you, Ryan, for that one. Just wanted to get that in before the top of the hour. We're still on this topic before we go to David Hellman.
Well, that was a fantastic text. Best one we've had today so far.
Oh, yes, it really was. Here's one other, by the way. I just got this from the 918. I may have missed it. Baylor's football COVID test results have come back or not. Mack Rhoades said that he feels much better than he did, obviously, 2 weeks ago. Feels a lot better than he did last week. They got the Sunday test back. Everything's good. They have the test tomorrow. They'll get back Thursday afternoon. And then he didn't say anything about Baylor. He said, we'll also have to wait to hear from West Virginia before they, of course, board the flight and move on to try to play game 2.
Well, you never know what can happen. I mean, Notre Dame had like 20 guys out of action because they had a pregame meal together. So that's what Mack was talking about with like the meals and everything like that, is that they had a pregame meal together and all of a sudden like 20 guys popped for COVID. So now Notre Dame's had to completely rearrange how they're going to do it. And apparently they had been refraining from that, but I guess they're like, hey, we're in the season, we're going to have the pregame meal or whatever. And that was a slip up. And
did you hear the details of that?
No, I didn't hear the details, but I'm just saying with like West Virginia, that's why you got to wait, and you just don't know until we get to the end of the week.
I saw the details that not only was it a team meal, but one of the players, the teammates, threw up.
Got
like,
real
right
sick.
then and there.
Yeah.
It's like a splatter guard.
Well, if you're Brian Kelly, you got to think, well, this was a bad idea.
Yeah. So
I immediately regret this decision.
When we come back, the Cowboys 1-2. They have Cleveland coming up this weekend. His thoughts about 1-2, who they are, what do they need. Earl Thomas is still available. I know that's kind of like Dak and his Prescott in his contract, but it's there. The Texans have said no. Somebody on Twitter said, are you sure Earl Thomas didn't say no to them? They're 0-3.
Yes, I am
They're
positive.
0-3, and they said no to him.
Hey, he's the one without a job, so I'm pretty sure he's the one that's looking for the job, yes.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Don's Humidor, where they have a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the best in all of what you want when it comes to cigars from Macanudo and Ashton. They also have Arturo Fuente and one of my favorite brands, Rocky Patel. A 48-foot walk-in humidor, and when you walk in that humidor, and right now I think you got to be careful. I think right now Carol and Ashley were the ones that walk in, and you can pick and choose which one you want. They'll get it out of the box for you or an entire box. For something, if you want to just kind of relax, you may be smoking a cigar. I saw a couple of people doing that at the tailgate, just relaxing, and or even if it's out in your backyard on your deck or porch and you're cooking on the grill and you're just relaxing with a drink and you want to smoke a cigar, that as well. Or it's maybe something you do more often. They have the cigars you want, including the best not only in America but around the world. Other great names like Cohiba as well. And so they don't have just cigars, but that's how I got to know them, by going in there and getting some cigars from them, buying cigars from them. They have the humidors to put them in, the cutters to cut the cigar, and the lighters, torch lighters to light them, but also an array, an assortment, a massive amount of different flavors when it comes to the aroma of their coffee beans. And on top of that, there are CBD products, including some that allow you to sleep better or go to sleep faster than you do if you toss and turn. Ask Carol and Ashley. Tell them Smokey sent you. Don's Humidor in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Pass is caught by Cedric Wilson, and he is in for the touchdown.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. The Cowboys reach week number 4 of their season, and obviously a back-and-forth game. There's nothing ever just 20-3 or 30-7, one way or the other. It's always something dramatic. They do have a noon game against the Browns. The Browns are actually 2-1 after winning against the Washington Football Club over the weekend. David Hellman joins us, DallasCowboys.com. That was a highlight with Cedric Wilson. They have, Cedric Wilson is what, their 5th, Paul? Is he their 5th best wide receiver? Whoever it is. Where do they get all these guys, David? And yet, I know they lost the game, but now he's starting to play like he's some kind of a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, what's actually amazing is it was really vindicating to see Cedric have that day because he's not a total nobody. He was a draft pick. He was drafted in the 6th round back in 2018. They've loved him. They've used him on special teams. And it's just been injuries that have gotten in the way. And obviously, there's a million guys that coaches say that they love. And 98% of them, it never pans out for one reason or another. Cedric Wilson and Noah Brown both were they were day 3 draft picks within the last few years. And, the coaching staff have had all the right things to say, and they've had moments during training camp. And both of them are really taking it to the regular season for the first time in their careers. And, I've been doing this long enough that I could list off 5 dozen other guys with similar stories who it never panned out for them. So it was really cool to see Cedric have a moment like that. Hopefully it's the first of many.
David, would you, at this point, especially given what they had to do in the second half once Terrence Steele went out with food poisoning, keep Zach Martin at right tackle, Joe Looney at guard, and Tyler Biadasz at center, because that lineup is maybe your best 5 blockers up there?
I think that the answer to that depends on whether or not Tyron Smith is available. Because for me, I think your best, maybe not your best pure 5, but your best lineup that involves the most amount of continuity is if Tyron Smith can play on Sunday, you put him back on the left side. I think Brandon Knight has held up fairly well and you team him with Zach Martin instead of Connor Williams, and I feel even better about that. And then you can move Zach back to right guard, where he's obviously one of the best in the game. So I feel really good about that. But I will say I was very impressed by Tyler Biadasz, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised because he won the Remington Trophy at Wisconsin last year. But to come in the second half with basically no warning and play 50 snaps, I thought he held up really well. And I don't know if the coaches are ready to plug him into the starting lineup next week, but I won't be surprised if he earns some more playing time the way that he looked in his first game.
David, what do you know about the tackle they added to the practice squad today, Jordan Mills? I noticed they also they lost defensive end Rondell Carter, who you had some comments about. I guess he was intriguing to you in a way for the Cowboys.
Yeah, one interest. I mean, there's a million interesting things about playing during a pandemic, but the practice squad is extra unique this year because NFL rules dictate that up to 6 of your practice squad players can have any level of NFL experience. If you remember, Brandon Carr started out on the practice squad when they brought him in. So, typically you kind of roll your eyes at a practice squad signing and say, like, okay, what can this guy actually bring? But Jordan Mills is an 8-year veteran with 84 career starts. He was the Bills' starting right tackle from 2016 to 2018. So a lot more experience than your average practice squad signing. So, do I expect him to start on Sunday? Not really, but that is a guy who's been there and done that if it gets down to it. So that's encouraging. Rondell Carter, he's just interesting because, you always follow the money with undrafted players. I think the Cowboys gave him $150,000 to sign when he went undrafted. So if a team is willing to give a guy that much money, it usually says something about his ability. Unfortunately for him, I just think D-line was probably one of the, I know they're not producing like it, but in terms of talent and salary, it's one of the deepest units on the Cowboys roster. So I just don't know that he ever had that much of an opportunity here. And, it sounds like he's going to go pursue some playing time with the Colts.
How worried do you think they are about Lyle Collins?
Very. I mean, if they're not, it sounds like they should be. I mean, anytime, the head coach and the owner in the same 24-hour period are saying, we don't know if he needs surgery, we'll see, that doesn't sound great. So it sounds like it's something they're still trying to get their hands around. But just like when you hear comments like that and when you hear what Jerry Jones said, hopefully he won't need surgery. It doesn't, they haven't settled on that. He might not, but, he's eligible to return from IR right now, and it doesn't sound like that's going to happen anytime soon. So I think that's why Jordan Mills is here. I think that's why, it's probably a good idea to talk about Brandon Knight and Terrence Steele and maybe even Zach Martin at right tackle, because I'm going to guess that they won't have Lyle Collins in that spot for at least a few more weeks, but more realistically, probably even longer than that.
David, something's kind of irking me about, and it has nothing to do with Mike Nolan, the person or the coach. It's the fact that they brought in Mike Nolan, and the best player on their defense going in, the guy they've got the most money invested in, is DeMarcus Lawrence. And Mike Nolan runs a defense that, especially right now, it looks that DeMarcus Lawrence isn't perfectly suited for, or it's built around his talents. Why would Mike McCarthy do that, knowing that the player that the cornerstone of the defense is a guy who's more of a 4-3 guy than what Mike Nolan is doing is much more multiple in 3-4?
Well, for starters, and I think Jerry Jones kind of touched on that this morning, is this coaching staff, obviously you got to produce in the NFL, but this is not the same story we've been dealing with Jason Garrett for so long, which I say what I mean is, Mike McCarthy and his staff don't have to worry about their jobs for the time being. Like, unless the bottom just absolutely drops out, they know they have another year to work with. So I imagine it's all about laying the foundation for the team that you want and the scheme that you want to run, and you can tinker with it. McCarthy said back when we first started talking about DeMarcus Lawrence standing up in a 2-point stance is, we're going to try it out, and if DeMarcus doesn't like it, then we'll go back to what makes him feel comfortable. So 3 games into the season, I think they're probably still tinkering with what suits the personnel that they have. And I also think we haven't settled into what Mike Nolan is going to run in the long term of things. Like you think about, Rod Marinelli, we talked so much about drafting guys and finding guys that fit what he wants to do and building this perfect cover 2 defense that he was so famous for. And we don't really know what Mike Nolan's long-term blueprint is. And, for that matter, don't know what DeMarcus Lawrence's long-term future is either. I don't expect him to go anywhere, but they call it not for long for a reason. All of that is to say, I think that's going to be fluid for the time being until they settle into, more of a comfort zone that we got so used to with the previous coaching staff.
David, how fake or blown out of proportion has been the reaction to Jerry's comments this morning about Dak?
I mean, it's just a total non-story. Is all it is. I think it's just a case of wires getting crossed. And to be fair, Jerry Jones loves to go on tangents. I mean, he'll talk for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes at a time, answering one question. So it can be a challenge to follow it sometimes because it's very stream of consciousness. And I think, a few people misinterpreted what he said, but when you write it down on paper, he's basically talking about the instincts and the mobility that make Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes great quarterbacks. And I think he lumped Dak in there in an effort to highlight that Dak can do some of those things too. And some people took it the wrong way. But, if you look at it written down, there's nothing in there that's a slight to Dak Prescott. And I think it just got lost in translation.
When he stumbled out of what looked like would have been the game-ending sack and found a way to stay upright, which is when he's the most dangerous when he gets out of the pocket, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. That's when he's made some great throws and great plays. Did you just expect that ball to be caught by somebody in the end zone?
There was no doubt in my mind that was a touchdown, honestly. And you're absolutely right. He's at his absolute best when he's freewheeling and moving outside the pocket. I think he's more accurate than he gets credit for in the pocket, but he just goes to another level when he's drifting like that. And it doesn't matter which direction he's going. So as soon as I saw that he got his balance back without having his knees touch the ground, I was convinced it was a touchdown. And typically in a broken play like that, not only did I think it was going to be a touchdown, I kind of felt like the guy that caught it was going to be standing all by himself, because that's the type of stuff that happens when a play breaks down. Obviously watching on TV this year, I wasn't in Seattle, so my viewpoint is a little compromised, but I was very surprised at the way that play turned out. And, I've had a chance to go back and look at it on the All-22. Not only did, obviously it didn't work, but there weren't any other options. There weren't any open receivers. They were all 3 clustered in the same corner of the end zone. So I think Dak was basically just saying a prayer, and it didn't work out.
Paul, anything? Yep. Craig, anything else? What Cleveland's 2-1, and they're, who knows who they are. Anything at all that concerns you about what they do that should be something the Cowboys should be worried about?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you've watched this defense play the first 3 weeks, I don't think you should feel good about them against any team with competent offensive output. And the Browns are really interesting because, Baker Mayfield and the receivers, the LSU guys, Jarvis and Odell, they're going to get all the headlines, but the Browns are kind of like the Cowboys of 4 or 5 years ago. They're trying to go back to the Jim Brown days. They got Chubb and they got Hunt, and they've got some really talented offensive linemen too. And it seems like they want. Obviously throwing is going to be a big deal for any NFL team in 2020, but they seem a lot more committed to running the ball than a lot of other NFL teams. I have a feeling if the Cowboys aren't ready for it, they are going to have a hard time stopping the run this weekend. That's what I'm looking at.
Would you like just to have a normal game to cover, 20-10, Paul? Yeah, 27-14, without drama, without.
No. Honestly, every now and then, it's nice to have a easy game from time to time. And last year it seemed like the Cowboys were either blowing people out or losing crazy games. But no, man, we're football fans. That's boring. You can go watch Texas beat up on Louisiana Tech in college football if you want that. This is why we watch it, is because every time I sit down to watch the Cowboys, I see something that I'd never seen before. So, it can definitely be stressful, but it's always entertaining. I wouldn't trade that for anything.
No doubt about it. It can be stressful. David, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Paul, we didn't bring it up?
No, I talked to him about it before.
Oh, okay.
I just,
Hey, it's okay, guys. You know, we knew LSU was going to be in for a bumpy ride after the season. You know, it's funny. I got so many texts over the weekend that were like, "What happened to your guys? They gave up 700 yards to Mississippi State. They got blown out by Mississippi State." I said, "Turn on the NFL games on Sunday, and I'll show you what happened to my guys. They're all playing in the league right now. That's what happened."
Yeah,
so
it's not the same guys.
No, it was a bummer, but you know, we'll hopefully bounce back, and until then, I can just cling to my memories from last year.
The memories are fresh, and you're still the defending national titles. I wish I had a team that could still think about things like that, right, Paul?
Yes.
You and me both. Thank you, David. Appreciate it as always. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
I have to take cry breaks sometimes watching games.
No, you will get so past that.
What would the score be if Nebraska and Florida State played this Saturday?
6-3.
Can they somehow give each other, like, is it
they
negative
both
points?
would somehow call each other at the last second and say, "Hey, we can't play. We got it."
Can you have a safety at the same time? Like in the opposite directions, like those are the kind of weird things that would happen. They're just.
I actually think Nebraska right now this year. Last year, I don't think so. We don't know. They haven't played, and God, you know, it's kind of nice. I never thought I would say this. A favorite team that I have, I really don't even care if they play this year. And when they shut it down, the Big Ten, That's how bad it is. When they shut it down, I say, "Oh, okay. Well, they can get a year better next year, you know, from winning 4 and 5 games a year."
By the way, this is kind of a weird segue, but a team that you like. Well, it's not a team you like, but who was the last Redskins quarterback?
Mark Rippon.
Yeah, his nephew is going to start for the Broncos against the Jets.
Didn't he play for Boise State?
Yes.
Yeah, when they played Baylor.
Yeah.
In that game in Phoenix. Yeah.
So, the Rippon family.
He wouldn't have played in that game, would he? If he was a true freshman, I guess. Or no, okay, no. I'm thinking he's still in college. Duh. Forget what I said. Sorry.
Yeah, no, he was the quarterback when they played in that what was not the Fiesta? Was it the Fiesta Bowl? Whatever.
No, it was
bowl
the Cactus
Bowl. That was a big moment for that staff and that team to finish after the 6-game slide and the disaster of PR.
Good Lord, we all could have used that too. We all were in desperate need of something good at that point after 6 straight games of just stuff, basically.
Yeah. By the way, Rippon will be the 9th different quarterback to start a game for the Broncos since the start of the 2017
season. John Elway's great at picking quarterbacks,
that's
but not really.
That's something that Cowboys fans, when they had the stretch from Aikman until Romo. Mm-hmm. And even then they had Testaverde and they had Bledsoe or whatever. But from Aikman to Romo, they had a stretch of a handful of years. Mm-hmm. In their history of 50 years, 60 years, 60 years. They don't understand bad quarterback play.
No.
They have been incredibly fortunate, smart, and also lucky when Troy Aikman was the number 1 pick because they sucked.
In their whole 60-year history, they probably haven't had as many starting quarterbacks as the Browns had from Tim Couch to Baker Mayfield.
That's what I'm saying. And so when you get like a little bit anxious about – so you had, you know, early on, but you had Meredith to Craig Morton to Roger Staubach – to Danny White. Then you had a little bit of an, 2, 3, 4 years.
Hogaboom and Pelluer and all, yeah. But that's because Danny White was also hurt.
Then you have Aikman for his career.
Yeah.
Then you had, a bunch of guys, and then you end up with Romo into Dak.
Yeah.
They've 40 probably of their 60, 45 of their 60 years, maybe better than that. When we come back, we'll have a couple other notes. We'll update baseball again. Also, tomorrow, Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott will join us. He was scheduled to be a part of the show yesterday. Didn't work out. He'll join us tomorrow. And also today, John McClain will join us on the Texans and the Earl Thomas story that Earl Thomas will not be playing for Houston this season. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
If you are looking to buy a home or if you're looking to sell the one that you're in, you probably do both those things at the same time unless you're rolling pretty deep. You need to call my friend Lance Donaldson of the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, and let them be your go-to source as you search for that perfect home. Give Lance a call, 254-214-3713, or visit him online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. Buying a home is the largest purchase most people are going to make, and you need somebody who knows all the ins and outs, who's going to be able to hear what you want in a home, what you want in that dream home, and then add, things that maybe you don't even think about. Well, Lance Donaldson can do that. You're going to love looking at houses with him. You're going to love spending time with him because he's a great guy. He's fun to be around, and he knows his stuff. Lance Donaldson at eXp Realty. Visit him online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Dodge is the highest-ranked brand in initial quality according to J.D. Power. Now at Allen Samuels, get special offers on Dodge cars and SUVs. Dodge Charger SXTs are now available with 2.9% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Dodge Journey has 2.9 for 72 or choose up to $4,750 in cash and subprime offers. Performance. Dodge from Allen Samuels.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Baylor making their first road trip of the season. I thought that was very interesting what Mack Rhoades was saying, Paul, when you brought it up as well. They got to make decisions on, first of all, they got to get the all clear on Friday from their own testing, and then hear from West Virginia. That's a long flight. And then on top of that, they got to decide now whether or not they have a meal on the plane. Do they have a meal before? What do you do? Because every time you go to eat, you got to take the mask off.
Well, could you imagine if you said, well, what was our outbreak? What was it? Well, because we ate sandwiches on a plane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just...
I would think the eating on a plane is probably ill-advised. Yeah. That's just such close quarters.
What about candy?
Still taking the mask off, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't get paid the money to make those decisions. But, the eating on the plane seems like a pretty simple one to go ahead and eliminate that idea. Maybe get a snack before you get on the plane and then get one right afterwards. But, no, I think you got to take every precaution necessary to not endanger this game. So, That one seems pretty simple to me. It just seems like you're opening yourself up to more potential risk. But then again, you're in a metal tube, thousands of feet in the air, all flying with shoulder to shoulder anyway. So I don't know how much it helps or hurts or what.
Well, here's my question. You're going to get your test results back sometime Friday late morning, right? It's usually around noon. Yeah. That's when they got the bad news with Houston from themselves about Houston, and they got the good news last week. So if you get good news Friday morning, then you get on a bus and board and head towards Waco Regional Airport. Mm-hmm. You're done. You're clear. You want to be smart because you don't want to have it flare up over the weekend, but
we don't want to have it happen when you get back. I think that not eating would be like, you don't want to, get your all clear, go, and then when you come back, you're like, well, now we have to cancel next week because.
But you're going to go out and snot all over each other. I just think that's overprotection. I get it, but I also understand right now you don't want to have any room for error, and you try to eliminate any of those things that can seep into the issues of having games shut down or whatever. So, all right, I get it. I had this from Carl Campbell. He listens to us quite a bit. He's on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line as well. But he just wanted to, Carl served in our military. We hear about the mental, about depression and all that of what COVID's brought to the table. And I've seen some stories about it as well. Army leaders, military suicides are up as much as 20% during this COVID era. It's already pretty high. Data is incomplete, causes the suicides are complex. The Air Force and also Army officials say they believe the pandemic is adding stress to an already strained force. Senior Army leaders say that they've seen a 30% jump in active duty suicides so far this year, and are looking at shortening the combat deployment. Such a move would also be a part of the broader effort to make the well-being of soldiers and their families the Army's top priority, overtaking combat readiness and weapons modernization. So the Pentagon wouldn't respond to any of the stats, but that's something. I bring that up not because I wanted to bring up something sad, but those are the guys and the women who are allowing us to sit here and do a show anytime we want in the middle of where we are. Yeah. Don't want to forget that.
Yeah, I think if you were to look outside the military as well, there's probably a strong chance. I don't know. That's why I say strong, but I would imagine that those rates, just general population, are probably up as well. I mean, it's a depressing time, and it's opened up a bit now thanks to some people wanting to push forward and not just shrivel away and never leave our homes again. And that's been nice, and I think that's been good for most everybody. So, I mean, that's something. Mental health is something that I think about just year-round, regardless of pandemics and things like that, but certainly even more so at a time like this.
Astros win. White Sox beat the A's. Right now, Toronto, Tampa Bay just started. Bucks. Rays are up 1-0 tonight, Yankees in Cleveland. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they've got their kickoff summer savings event going on right now. Lots of great deals and thousands off a variety of vehicles. Plus, as always, incredible customer service because that's what they do at Richard Carr. So with the kickoff savings event, 2020 vehicles, all of them on the lot, are priced to move now. If you're looking for a great truck, how about the best truck? How about a GMC? During the kickoff savings event, qualified buyers can score huge savings like $8,000 off a new 2020 GMC Sierra. You can also save $6,000 on the roomy 3-row 2020 GMC Acadia. Full of room and full of luxury, all 3-row 2020 Buick Enclaves are also $8,000 off. The lines of Cadillacs, like the CT4 starting at $32,995, are also a part of all these discounts. I mean, everywhere you look, all over the lot, you got discounted prices and thousands in savings that can be yours, a big selection, and the prices that I've mentioned now, plus free oil changes with a new purchase and VIP priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased at Richard Carr. They stand by to support their customers with award-winning service because they are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They want to earn your business now and for every car that you or your family drives down the road, so stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is their first priority. So find more information on the kickoff savings event by heading over to richardcarr.com or visit them in person, that daily disinfected showroom and their safety-focused staff, Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Listen, in the past couple of years, we've had a lot of people moving in from out of state to Waco thanks to Chipper and JoJo. And while we welcome these new citizens, they unfortunately brought some of their bad habits with them. Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, and you know what I'm talking about. Naked trucks. You'd think everyone moved here from McNewtville, but we shouldn't judge them, we should help them. For example, when you see a recent transplant truck from a less civilized state like California, instead of saying, "Your truck is disgusting, your bed is exposed, get a bed cover on that truck, buddy," that's a bit harsh. Instead, try something like, in Texas, it's not polite to drive around with your bed exposed. Maybe you should check out the excellent selection of bed covers at Pickup Outfitters. And then if they refuse, you can say, "Well, I hear New Mexico's a nice state." Let's help our new neighbors and let them know that truck nudity is not okay. Let them know about Pickup Outfitters of Waco and send them to our website, createacommotion.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Helping to protect Watson. Under a rush, he hits Randall Cobb for the touchdown. Catch and run for Cobb.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, here we go. This 537 segment with Hall of Fame writer John McClain of the Houston Chronicle. John, you had the story the Texans kicked the tires of Earl Thomas but decided they weren't good enough. Your thoughts about the decision? What went behind the decision?
Well, first of all, they never should have been interested in Earl Thomas because every time Bill O'Brien talks to us about a player, he says, good guy, good teammate, dependable. Well, he's none of those. And he got run out of Baltimore because his teammates didn't want him there, had all kind of issues on and off the field. They need a safety. They've looked at a bunch. The thing today is, if you play a game on Sunday and you got a receiver, or say a safety like Eric Murray goes down for a while, so they need another one. You don't have time to talk about him on Monday and then decide to bring him in on Tuesday because of the COVID-19 testing. So you got to go ahead and bring him in on Monday while you're talking about it. So they had him sitting around. They gave him a physical, and then they just decided they weren't going to do it. Now, I was told that it's a dead issue now, but maybe sometime in the future, if they have another injury, maybe they'd be interested, but I can tell you they're not. So he's not coming here.
John, could they have just done it so people would stop talking about him going to the Cowboys?
You know, Earl Thomas has got a lot of explaining to do when he meets with people. And Texans talk to him, but he took one test on Monday, would have taken another one today. They sent him home. I told people on my show it'll be leaked that it had nothing to do with his personality, that it had to do with the physical or COVID-19. Sure enough, the agent put it out that Bill O'Brien said they couldn't do it because of COVID-19, because the league sent out a memo today. So they can say all they want, but it's not a good fit, especially when you're always talking about you want your guys to be good guys, good teammates, and dependable.
John, the Texans are 0-3, but they have had as brutal of a schedule as you could possibly have with the Chiefs, the Ravens, and then the Steelers. And now here's a Vikings team that would be, typically you'd go, gosh, they got the Vikings now too, but they've struggled a little bit, so maybe it's not as bad. But just kind of where are you on the Texans, taking into account who they've played, but also how they've played?
Craig, they're right where I predicted they would be in our football section in August. 0-3. I thought they would beat Minnesota and Jacksonville to be 2-3. Then they play Tennessee and Green Bay. I had no idea Green Bay would be as good as it's been. But so they're right where I thought. I picked them to lose by 7 at Pittsburgh. They lost by 7. The problem is they've not looked good, even though they were up on the Steelers 21-17 at halftime and looked really good. The Steelers made great adjustments and totally shut them down on both sides of the ball, and the Texans didn't make those kind of adjustments, so they lose a third in a row. Now, Minnesota is 0-3. The Vikings' running game has been great. Their defense has been terrible. Kirk Cousins has been inconsistent. If when I talk to you guys next Tuesday, the Texans are 0-4, that's when it's time to hit the panic button. And as I told people today, maybe they sign Earl Thomas, sign Antonio Brown, then go up I-45 to Huntsville and see if they can find any talent there, because they're going to be desperate if they start off 0-4. And I'll guarantee you, Bill O'Brien's not going to get fired during the season. But if they have a losing record with him being the GM and bringing in all the players he wants, there's a good chance his job would be in jeopardy after the season.
How often in the end, and there are some coaches that are fired in season. Cowboys fired Wade Phillips. Jason Garrett took over. People wanted to know why Jason wasn't fired. Many times Jerry doesn't usually do that in the season. But what is is there really any rhyme or reason whether you fire somebody in season or not? Does it matter? Is there anything that says it helps or hurts or anything?
There's no indication it helps. It's basically to appease fans and media, although they would never admit that. If I'm the Jets, I'm not firing Adam Gase. I'm going to say we're riding with Adam till the season's over. Then we will evaluate him as we do every year. Let them finish with the top pick. They've acquired all these high draft choices. It would be a great situation for the new coach. Don't take a chance on changing and promoting coordinator, and you might win a couple more games in a bad season. Play it out. Get the high pick.
John, with the Titans and Vikings both shutting down their facilities, the NFL still plans to play this game this weekend. What would have to happen for them to shut it down, and then how do they make that up?
It's not like colleges where if you don't have a position, you can't play, because they have 16 practice squad players they could activate on Saturday. I think what they'll do, the Titans, is move that Titans-Pittsburgh game to Monday. There's no reason they shouldn't. Pittsburgh's 3-0, best defense in the league. Titans with no practice time. It's not fair, but this is not going to be a fair season. It wasn't fair to the Marlins to play 7 doubleheaders after they had a COVID-19 outbreak, and they're still in the playoffs. So it's the sign of it's the unprecedented times in which we live. So Mike Vrabel, to his credit, said today, if we only have a walkthrough on Saturday, there's no excuses. And I like that. The Vikings have been told, go about business as usual, as have the Texans. Vikings are keeping their facility closed and working remotely for 48 hours, which means they would come back Thursday and have practices Thursday and Friday, and then come down to Houston Saturday.
John, what'd you make of the Chiefs? Pretty dominant throughout. I mean, the Ravens kind of made it interesting, I guess, somewhat there in the second half for a little while. But, I mean, there's just no stopping Mahomes and company, is there?
I picked the Ravens to win the game, but I wasn't surprised the Chiefs won. I was surprised at the thoroughness. 4 touchdown passes against a great defense. I've seen the Texans lose to both of those teams to start the season, and I knew the Chiefs were good. They struggled the week before at the Chargers, had to go overtime against a rookie quarterback. Looking back, I'm guessing they were looking ahead to the Ravens, but right now they're clearly the best team in the league. Baltimore's second best in the AFC, and I think Green Bay is second Green Bay's second in the league. Seattle's offense with Russell Wilson throwing 14 touchdown passes is phenomenal, but their defense is terrible. So I can't put them up there with the other two. I put them close behind, but it's amazing how well some teams are doing and others are struggling. Some haven't missed preseason and OTAs at all, and some look like they're still in training camp.
John, your thoughts about, I know you and I traded back and forth a few texts about Baylor's offensive linemen, Newman, Bettier, and Burton being out. They expect 1, if not 2 or 3 of them back for West Virginia. Your thoughts about the start of the Dave Aranda era?
First of all, I like the defense. I didn't have high expectations because of all the starters they lost. They had some transfers that played well. I thought they did really well. And Puka Williams is a good running back. And that little quarterback, he's going to be good someday. He's fast, he's quick, but I like the way they play. Can't wait to see how they play against West Virginia. The offense, the Tristan Ebner was unbelievable. I've been watching Baylor football since 1960. Never seen a performance like that. And if they get those linemen back and they can protect Brewer, then I look for them to beat West Virginia. It was fun watching a new coach and having a successful debut.
Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Hey, John, thank you as always. Great stuff. John had the story on Earl Thomas earlier this afternoon.
Well, John, how about the Astros winning their first game today, actually?
Yeah, they're 4-1, great pitching, and which surprised me, just a little bit of hitting. Minnesota's lost 17 playoff games going back to 2004. They can't be real confident in the next game tomorrow. Sick 'em, guys. Thank you.
John McClain, Houston Chronicle, former Waco Trib, Baylor University. One of the best you could ever imagine as far as knowing the NFL. I mean, his
he's right there behind Gil Brandt and Shireen, and in that class of people, I would say, or not,
yeah,
or not at all.
John McClain's a Hall of Fame voter. He has huge pull.
I'm just saying Gil Brandt was in the league. But I'm saying John and Shireen and Peter King probably, and people like that. He's right there in that class of individuals for
Great
sure.
respect. I saw him work the room. He and Brad Sham and Shireen, and how they work the room when we have those every year meetings in June for the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. I learned from them. You get a couple of guys or girls. You get a couple of guys, and you kind of have discussions before you get to Waco. And you get a few of them on your side. It's kind of like working a room. Yeah. I learned how they work, and they're all on the show. Brad, John, Shireen, others. It's been a while since we've had Shireen on.
Yeah, she got her on.
Well, there you go. There's an idea for
there we go.
Here in the next couple of days.
Shireen also might be the nicest. I mean, there's a lot of nice sports reporters, but it's just like generally nice person. Sports reporters.
Unless the Aggies are struggling. She can get a little bit.
So she was angry last week?
Yeah.
I remember covering a Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. The Aggies were playing on Thanksgiving with her, and she was on edge.
Yeah, she was. All right. We break here or just keep going? We got another break?
No, just keep going. Wrap it up in a few minutes.
All right. So we got a long way to go. 5:48 is the time. So we've got a chunk of about 8 to 10 minutes. CJ and Armstrong are running the mothership. I'm under pressure now with Armstrong's first name. Got a $1 bill for every time I mention Anderson, which I, for some reason, have.
Our producer, Anderson Silva, former UFC champion.
In our studio. All of a sudden, there would be people like out the door.
Well, you know what? That would be great. If we got a UFC fighter to produce us, you would stay on that damn clock.
Oh, yeah. You would. Get tapped out in between commercial breaks if not.
And the thing is, I would get him one of the headsets with just one ear so you could see like the messed up, swole up ear.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't even, a cauliflower ear.
Who was this Andaravanov or whatever that one he fought this Saturday night? You and TJ or whoever.
Israel Adesanya?
Whatever his name. He beat the hell out of somebody.
He's nobody but like the greatest fighter in the entire world right now, and probably is going to be the greatest fighter in the world for, some people would say Khabib Nurmagomedov, but Israel Adesanya is one of the top fighters in the entire world, and he's young still, and he's going to be
lightning fast.
He's John Jones without the issues at a different weight class. That's what he is.
That's good news. For
he just rattled those names off, and there's more consonants than vowels, many more. Yeah, and no, I happened to just catch the highlight. He knocked this guy out in the second round pretty quickly. I never saw what was weird, and I did look. I tried to slow down this frame by frame. I actually never saw the right hand land, which is either that's how fast it was or it got the kid on the side of the temple.
It's weird how some glancing blows
in the back of the head?
In certain places can just turn the lights off like that. I mean, I think it was Connor when he fought, Aldo, and it didn't look like he hardly –
was that the 7-second fight?
Yeah. It looked like he barely even touched him, and you're like, how in the world? But then you look at it, and you're like, he just popped him right on that on and off switch, right? He just got enough of it and just dink, and that's all it took.
Well, I went to high school with a guy who had some note because he had one way he beat Kimbo Slice, and that was Seth Petroselli. And his fight, like his punch, he just landed it right in the good spot.
In the UFC, he beat Kimbo?
He beat Kimbo.
He's a big muscular guy, right?
And he was supposed
He's also not with us anymore.
But I guess who did he step in for? Was Ken Shamrock got hurt?
Probably.
They were supposed to fight Kimbo, and so they had to have the fight at the last minute. So they put in Seth, who worked with Ken Shamrock. And I remember that's the first UFC fight I ever watched because I played football in high school with that guy. And so he just punched him one time, and it didn't even look like it was that hard, but it got him just in the right spot.
By the way, a reading recommendation for anybody that does have an interest in fighting. I think it's been out for a little while now, but apparently, and I haven't read it yet, but apparently if you do have any interest in that or just looking for something alternative, Ken Shamrock's book that came out about a month or two ago is apparently pretty good. So just for who it may concern.
By the way, on SIGM365.com, a ton of stuff went up today. A ton of new premium content articles, including the pop quiz from Ashley
I didn't
Hodge.
do it. It's the first time I didn't do it, and I don't know why. Maybe Ashley sent it out too early. I'm used to that Jason King midnight flare.
Yeah. After 8 sacks last year, West Virginia will get how many sacks against Texas or against Baylor on Saturday?
I said 3.5.
Better not be more than 3 or 4.
I didn't give a number.
More than 3 or 4, they lose.
But I think that it'll be much less because the O-line's better and the run game's better. So that means probably less sacks because less.
And Fedora's offense gets the ball out quicker.
Okay. Most overrated coach in the Big 12. I said Tom Herman.
I think Herman is overrated to an extent. I do. But I said Matt Campbell. And I laid out my reasons why. But take this into account. He's been there 4 years. They've got a ton of pub. They've won a bowl game, have not played for a Big 12 title, sniffed it, competed for it in a way. But they have also never finished in the top 25 postseason with him. So 4 years, no postseason top 25 appearances. For all the talk about them, I'm just kind of like, why?
It seemed like they're just kind of everyone's favorite little cute toy.
But that's not a knock on him. I don't think he's the one. I think it's the media overrates him to a small extent.
Yeah, he's kind of people like him, and our profession's very bad about that. I would say it's not Matt Wells because no one
can't be rated.
It's not Kleiman, who came from North Dakota State. It's not Lincoln Riley because he still has skins in the wall.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's fair to say I think it's fair if somebody were to say he's a little bit overrated.
Overrated. Yeah, he's very young, and he's let's see. And by the way, he didn't tap the brakes on Spencer Rattler. Why did they not go to a series with Tanner Mordecai and that when they?
I would think just to calm Spencer Rattler
just
down.
If anything, and that really, if I'm Tanner, that's frustrating. It's already, I understand Rattler's very talented, but in that situation, you could tell he was rattled.
Gil Brandt said to us to our faces that Lincoln Riley is a better offensive mind as far as like where he was at the time. This is right when Lincoln took over OU, better than Browse. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a knock on Art. It was just like that's how much he thought of Lincoln Riley, and certainly he's shown why Gil thought that to begin with. But he's also had Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and Baker Mayfield as his quarterbacks.
Yeah, two Heisman. Yeah, and one of them almost did.
Yeah. And so now you've got you've got a freshman quarterback that you're dealing with for the first time in a long time, and it's just very interesting. It's going to be different. It's not going to be the same as these other guys who just go, yep, you're a veteran, you know what you're doing.
And I think Spencer Rattler is going to be
incredible.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
Let's let him get there.
It's like we want to rush people to this because he's a quarterback at Oklahoma.
Look, Trevor Lawrence, he was great as a freshman. He was really good as a sophomore, but and his team was maybe better around him his sophomore year than his freshman year, but he took a little step back. Sometimes in their couple of years, guys who are even going to be super
last year, Ellinger was not as good. Statistically, maybe, but I thought he was not quite as good.
No, he wasn't.
And now, is Herman overrated, or is it because he's the head coach at Texas and kind of has their same mentality?
That's part of the reason why
I think,
he is overrated.
And I do understand that that's part of it. They still have a tremendous amount of talent there. And again, does it always fit the scheme or what they want to do? They gave up 58 points to Texas Tech. Yeah. We'll see how many points people give up to Bowman and company as the year goes on. I would think Matt Campbell's got to be in that discussion. But Herman, if they don't win at least 8 of the 10 games or whatever it is, if he's not better than that, then you have to say, especially with OU, maybe down a notch. Then okay, if it's not going to be this year, when is it going to be? And even though I know they're building for the future as well.
All right. Now
they've got this quarterback who's one of the best they've ever had.
Yeah. Now, not too, because I don't want to give
Vince Young good, but good.
Yeah, I don't want to give everything away because it's a premium content,
right.
But I want people to sign up and go read it. But the kind of wild card question this week, Smokey, from Ashley Hodge, who sent this to us, is favorite Clint Eastwood movie. Now, Craig and I agree on this. And Craig hasn't seen as many, but I've seen a lot. But favorite Clint Eastwood movie, and I know that you're not a movie guy, but Clint Eastwood is right.
Can I look it up?
Google it.
He's right in your...
I have one that might surprise you, but let me...
it's not the one with a monkey, is it? He did one with a monkey.
Space movie.
Space Cowboys.
That was Space Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will leave mine for people to go check out.
What's
in the
the one where
section,
where he's I know Dirty Harry and all that. What's the one where he's kind of the old man and these kids keep bothering him?
Gran Torino.
Yeah.
So the ultimate get off my lawn movie.
Yeah.
Actually, and then he endures. That's a very good movie. He does a lot of really good movies, but I will say my favorite one, because it is his masterpiece. And he's done a lot of them, but Unforgiven is his absolute masterpiece. Directing and acting is so good. It's him, it's Morgan Freeman, it's Gene freaking Hackman.
So is it him or is it them?
I mean, it's all of them together. Like and he just this. He's
Unforgiven. What was that about?
It's a Western, and he's the good guy in the movie, but
I'll have to watch.
He was terrible. I mean,
I do remember the name. And did it win an Academy Award?
Oh yeah, it won Best Picture.
Well, because they have stars.
This was back before the Academy Awards
Outlaw
became
Josie Wells doesn't count?
I mean, that's up there. But Unforgiven is his absolute masterpiece. It is an absolute masterpiece.
Well, who would he say is his masterpiece?
I bet you he would say that one.
No, I mean, who would he? Yeah, maybe.
I bet
maybe
you would say that one.
All right. Hey, there's one story. This is where we are now. So Chelsea Whitaker, I mentioned her, the former Dallas police detective, former Baylor Lady Bear, came into town, and she spoke with the women's basketball team. So the Lady Bears account put up a picture of the team and Chelsea in a group shot, right? Mm-hmm. And there's also a picture of Coach Mulkey with Chelsea Whitaker. Coach Mulkey actually had to go on that thread and say, we were wearing masks until the picture. That we have to proactively say that.
Wow, that's actually better news than I thought. I was waiting for somebody to complain about a police officer talking to the team. I mean, kind of where we are right now, honestly.
Yeah.
But Yeah, the mask police, the other police, the mask police. Yes,
I
they
think
are
there
out
are
full
people
force.
that go to events to look for people who aren't wearing their masks, so they can put it up on Facebook, complain about it, or Twitter, and get attention.
And the other thing is, you can. People can do so much. Organizations, Baylor, just use Baylor as an example. Okay, they can keep the students socially distanced and have their masks on so much. But when Baylor scores 47 points and everybody, runs down the road a high five, they're just going to inch together. You're trying to combat free will, and just natural reactions. And then so it's hard. So essentially they're just going to have, Derek on the PA going, "Hey, student section, leave a little room for the Holy Ghost. Let's go."
That's not going to work. Though.
Yeah, no, it's not going to. Yeah,
you cannot keep those students apart.
I mean, the thing is, though, if the students are going to have to, because if they don't, then they're probably not going to be going to the games anymore. I mean, or they're going to be reduced dramatically.
There's no question that there was a come to Jesus.
Or there will be a split of like, hey, a third of you guys are now sitting up here, and a third of y'all are going to sit over here, and that way you try to at least limit that somewhat. But I mean, there's going to have to be some corralling of it.
I had somebody on campus send me a note that said there was some sort of discussion in making sure people realize, because I get it hard, especially at that age. God, you're just free at last. I'm not trying to, but I mean, you got this beautiful day, and you're finally able to go to a game, and you're a college kid.
You are,
but you have,
you're wrestling with humans' natural instinct at that point.
Yeah.
Because again,
we've been doing that since March.
Yeah, but you're especially doing it because hey, be here and be excited, but not that excited.
Yeah.
Just
and
wait.
I did see some of the young people have their mask on, and I understand. It's like there are people who actually go to the game to take a picture. There's a guy who wrote something for Kansas, and he look at the Baylor fans. God, please.
And
get a life.
Here's the thing. We will know in a week and a half or so if
it flared up.
If it flared up. And
yeah.
then you'll know. It's just we cannot restart everything every time that something happens. We just have to roll with it and react.
The kind of student who's going to want to go to the game and sit on the front row is the kind of student who's not going to care at all about the masks.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, that's a great point,
But
Armstrong.
they might get an email from Linda Livingstone.
Yeah.
Dr. Livingstone is taking this serious. And then I get it. Mm-hmm. I understand. They're trying not to so much bust somebody for not wearing a mask. They're trying to keep school going without any kind of flare-up, and it's not easy. Thanks to CJ and Armstrong. Appreciate them as always. Thanks to our great sponsors. All right, Paul, Phil Bennett, Mack Rhoades,
John McClain,
David Hellman,
Chris Platt, Robert Rubel, and Brian Bell.
And Brian Bell from China Spring and Robinson as well. For Craig Smoke, for Paul Catalina. Ronnie Lott will join us tomorrow among some others. We're already working on a great list. I'm David Smoke. Thank you for listening whenever you do, and viewing and watching us as well. And good night. Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental. Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who, as children, had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old, and they come every 6 months, and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Booze Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.